Good evening, Holliston. Tonight we are here on the June 8th meeting of the Holliston Select Board. We're going to get started in just a moment. So there's a little chatter out there. We might, okay, there. I was going to say we close the door, but not. So we're going to start off with a couple updates from the Holliston Police Department. So we're going to invite Chief Stone to the table, and he can bring up anybody else he would like and give us some updates before we get going too much. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Well, thanks for inviting us. The hallway's full of people for the meeting and from the department. We just all can't fit in this room. I had asked Frank a couple of weeks ago for the opportunity to speak in front of the board and provide some updates in terms of personnel, some movement, and some structural changes that I thought were positive. I'd first like to, Tyler and Gus and Costa are here. I think they're out in the hallway.
Come on in, gentlemen.
Afternoon.
Welcome.
So these are our three newest officers. I came in before you recommending them to be hired.
Okay.
A couple of months ago. You guys want to maybe just by the
Yeah, so you just move slightly that way, just so that way you're not in front of the camera. Perfect.
So Tyler, Gustavo, and Costa all came before the board to get appointed at one point, and all three were sent to the academy by Holliston. That process takes us about a year and a half. So a little bit, probably late last spring, I was asking if it would be okay to send them to the academy. Since then, all three have graduated from the MPTC Academy. Tyler and Gus graduated from the MPTC Marlboro in January of 26. They then came back to us and completed a 12-week in-house field training program with the senior members of HPD. And both Gus and Tyler are on solo patrol as of the middle of May. So they're out on the road now, working the evening and midnight shifts. Costa graduated from the East Falmouth Police Academy on May 8th, 2026. Not only did he graduate, but he was a recipient of the Academy Class Academic Achievement Award. He currently is in week 6 of our field training program, 6 out of 12, and he's expected to assume solo patrol in mid-July. So all three officers have been doing an outstanding job. I've already got emails from a couple of residents with experiences with each one of them. So I'd like to officially welcome them here on patrol, and this is the product that you get. So.
Thank you.
I won't put them on the spot, but just to highlight the process by which we, recruit, we bring the best possible candidates before you, and for them to graduate the academy and be out here on patrol with the community is a huge undertaking, but one that's worthwhile and serves positively for the community. So, thank you guys.
Welcome.
Thank you. Here again.
Can they?
Yeah, let's do the whole pictures. So why don't you go through, because there's a couple of the things you want to do first.
Yeah, that works.
Do you want the pictures right there?
Yeah, we'll do it.
Shannon's
Let's.
got it,
There's
yeah.
a couple others, so we want
I
to.
might have, do you mind sliding over?
Oh, no.
Might be a good time. Is Lieutenant Hagan out there? Okay, while they're waiting,
We got
yeah, anytime.
someone new to introduce.
So we like all of our officers, obviously. We treat them all the same, but there is one that we do treat a little bit differently in a better way. So late winter, we acquired our new canine unit, our new canine member, Canine Blitz. And Canine Blitz is a 1.5-year-old German Shepherd that came to us from Slovakia. And I'm going to give you a little history because as soon as he walks in the room, nobody's going to pay attention to me. They're all going to So Canine Blitz began training with Officer Hume at the Boston Police Academy on March 9th, 2026, and he's expected to graduate this Thursday. Officer Hume, who's his handler, has been with HPD since 2020. He's one of our field training officers. He's a department health and wellness instructor. And he's also done a myriad of professional development courses that involve motor vehicle law, drunk driving, advanced roadside impairment. So we want to welcome both Alex, who's been here for 6 years, but also his new partner, who will resume patrol with our canine on the evening shift as early as Thursday. So again, another investment into the town, new officer in town. So when you see Canine Blitz, we ask that you don't pet him, but you can certainly come up and say hello. So.
Okay.
The grand finale.
We understand who has the real authority here.
I did.
What's his
So this is our third K-9. I began the program in 2012 with K-9 Kesh. Lieutenant Hagan had K-9 Mattis, who's retired, and now we have a 1.5-year-old, and you probably see the puppy in him. But when they graduate on Thursday from the Boston Police Academy, they'll be proficient and certified by the Boston Police K-9 unit in obedience, area searches, building searching, tracking, criminal apprehension, and handler protection. So having been a K-9 handler myself, Lieutenant Hagan just retired K-9 Mattis, and now Officer Hume. It's a huge asset. It's a tremendous asset to the community, to the town. Again, a financial commitment, a training commitment, but the bond that these two officers will have and be able to provide to Holliston, whether it be a missing child, an Alzheimer's patient, criminal apprehension, and for Officer Hume, it's a built-in partner and backup with him every night. So it's a tool that we've used now for over 14 years for the department, and we're proud to carry that on now. And as of Thursday, they will be graduating, not with us. So I'd like to welcome K-9 Blitz. Thanks, Howard.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay.
Much more, I have one more, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I have two more.
It's fine.
I know you guys have a full agenda, too.
No, it's okay.
So we have a strategic plan, a 5-year strategic plan. We're in our third year. In our FY23, FY27 plan, the need for a 6th sergeant position was identified, and that came from an outside agency that we hired to do our plan. The reason behind that is it improves officer supervision and accountability. It helps with risk management, reduces liability. It also increases leadership and supervision in the street. So we began a promotional process back in March of 2026 with a promotional exam that was taken by 8 of 21 eligible officers. The most we've ever had interested in taking a promotional exam prior to this was 4. So we doubled that, which tells me there's a third of the patrol force that is interested in future leadership. It was a very competitive process, one that included a comprehensive evaluation of all candidates, but at the end, Officer David Craig was awarded the overall highest numerical score. So if I could, I'd like to invite Officer David Craig, soon to be Sergeant David Craig, up as well. So Dave joined HPD in 2022. He's a veteran of the United States Coast Guard. He holds a master's degree in cybersecurity. He was the president of his police academy class in Plymouth. He's one of our field training officers and also a mentor to our newer officers. He's one of 2 FAA certified drone operators on HPD. He's an EMT. This list is pretty long. He's
Quicker to say
also
what he can't do.
he's a husband and a proud father of an almost 1-year-old. And he just recently completed, along with Sergeant Parent, a 2-week first-line supervisor course down at Roger Williams University. So not only do we have a promotional process, but we then send them to a 2-week class at a prestigious college. So I'd like to welcome David, obviously, has been here for a while, but as a new supervisor in an exciting new position. So congratulations, and I think your mom's going to come on. Yeah. Don't stick them. Congratulations, Dave. We just have one more, if we still have time, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to call up Martha Ellis, if she would.
Come on up, Martha.
Can you see? Good.
Thank you.
So if you don't recognize Martha, then you probably haven't lived in town for very long. Martha started about 6 months before I did in Holliston. And we wanted to invite her here tonight because she just retired after 20-plus years as our crossing guard. So we're very appreciative of all of her efforts. So in recognition of that, of your many years of dedicated service as a school crossing guard with the Holliston Police Department, through good weather and bad, you were a constant presence at our post, and some students could always rely on you to help them get to school safely. For more than 2 decades, you welcomed young students and their families with a smile while ensuring their safe arrival to and departure from school each day. Your dedication, professionalism, and unwavering commitment to the safety of our community have been truly appreciated throughout the years. Your friendly smile and positive attitude always had a way of brightening the day for the students and families who you safely crossed each morning and afternoon. With sincerest gratitude, Chief Matthew Stone and all of the men and women of the Holliston Police Department.
So I have a quick story.
Of course.
So at one of my crossings, I, a little nervous. So, it was when I first started and I was down at the four-way stop down by the package store. And the traffic was coming and going for the parents dropping off and returning, going to work. It was very busy, all 4 ways. And I thought, oh no, this is ridiculous, this can't happen. So I went out into the middle of the intersection and I started directing the traffic, both sides of me. They're going in front and in back of me. And then I'd stop them and then I'd go the other side and do the other way. And then finally the cruiser came up and said, you can't do that. So, okay.
Back to crossing.
That
Thank
was
you
a
for
lot of
everything.
fun.
Thank
You were all
Martha.
great and very supportive, and of course, I enjoyed most every minute of it. And thank you for changing my stops and the different experiences, and everybody was really great. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Martha.
This is unbelievable. I really.
Thank you. So with that, I'll conclude. And again, I want to thank you for the time. I think it's important to highlight, those are just a handful of ones that we picked out of new officers, promotions, and things of the department. But these things are happening every day with the men and women that we have on the department. So I think it's important to highlight that, and I appreciate the time.
No, we appreciate all that you do for us, so thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief. See you soon. Nice meeting you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you so much. Yep.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We're gonna get a second to get the next group in. We need the people out there to come in, though. There's people out there that we need here for the next one.
Who am I calling in?
I'll go out there and see.
Here we go.
That totally works. Yeah, yeah. Yep. Wherever you, I'm sorry, you going on this side? Wherever you'd like.
Where would you like to be? Does this work? If you need more room, let me know. Some things.
Good evening. Sorry. Hi, Tracy.
Jesse, how are you? Hi, Hillary.
Sure. Yep. Just to keep it a little easier to. You got it. Track. Just made myself right at home. All right. Okay. No one needs to know. All right. On to number 2. Okay. Thank you. Just so everybody understands, so we have the school committee here with us. If you just don't mind, because some of you have to go back to the audience and they might not be able to know, if you could just make sure you introduce yourselves, just so everybody knows who else is at the table here with us. Not everybody might know who you are, so just in case, if you could just go around, please.
Tracy Flicker.
Franco Goro.
Hillary Bresnahan. Jess Ullman. John Naborski.
Wonderful. Wonderful to see you all. Thank you very much for coming in this evening. So what I'll do is I'll just start out with a little bit of like what's happening here, what we're going to do, and how what started this, and then what we'll do is we'll kind of go into a few different things. So we're here to talk about a joint appointment to the school committee. This was made possible because Joe Peru had resigned in April, and we had a meeting last week to discuss some of the candidates for this position. And we've had some things happen since then, and with that, and tonight what we're going to do is first we're just going to sort of talk about where we are, what's going on, give everybody an opportunity to speak up. I'll go first, and then I'll give it to Dawn, and then we can go to whoever else would like to speak. I assume you'd like to make a statement at that point, right?
Yes.
I didn't want to put
we
it
are
in spot.
calling the joint meeting to order too.
Sure, absolutely. We're all meeting. This is a joint meeting between both boards, and we are in open session for both boards. So that being said, so what we're going to do is we're going to be able to make statements. Then we're going to kind of ask whether or not, with everything that has happened over the past few days, if everybody's comfortable moving forward with an appointment this evening, and then we will go through a process by which we evaluate at that point. And then further, at the conclusion of that process, we will talk about there is another resignation, and we need to discuss what that looks like and what the process is for that, so we can all understand and move forward with that process as well. So I will begin by making, we've got a couple comments to make about things that have happened over the past couple of days. And just to sort of state where I was on Tuesday, because I know some people have had questions about what I was doing and what was going on there. So basically, I had been under the expectation that we were going to put forward several candidates to discuss tonight, Monday evening. And I was expressing my opinion about that, and obviously I am one vote, I am one person, and I did not have a vote at that time. And certainly the school committee has a process, and you have your own process, and nothing was happening that was improper. It was unexpected for me, and I wanted to express that. I wanted to express my disagreement, and that's it. So it was not intended to do anything else, and it was not intended to express that anything was happening improperly. It was more that I had a different expectation for the outcome of that evening, and I wanted to make that clear. I also wanted to sort of mention here that there's been a lot of vitriolic and bullying language used in different places, and it's unacceptable. I don't accept it. I don't allow for it. I don't think it's okay in any case towards anybody, and how we conduct ourselves is, in my opinion, almost more important than what we do. And I take it very seriously, and I feel that Holliston is better than that, and I'm very disappointed with some of the things that have been said, and I want to ensure that tonight everything is respectful and civil, and when we get to opportunities for public comment, we can talk a little bit about that, and I have a plan to work through that, and let's disagree civilly. We're allowed to disagree, and we should disagree. We should have discourse, and that's okay. And we can do it respectfully, and that's important. And I want to make sure that we do that tonight and moving forward. So I wouldn't admit that's important as we go through additional processes. We have a lot of stuff to work on together as a group, and collaboration is important and essential for all of us. And I will hold myself to that standard, and I hope everyone else will be able to hold themselves to the same kinds of standards, and I want to make sure that we do so. So that's all I have to say right now, and I'll let Dawn, if you'd like to make any statements or any comments at this point.
Thank you. You know, I'm not just speaking for myself as acting chair, but I did have the opportunity to meet with our committee before this to go over communication about the events of June 2nd and also a little bit about the process. So I just wanted to explain that we're in the process of filling 2 vacant seats. The vacancy process is defined by Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 11, Holliston bylaws, and our school committee policy. The 3 members of the select board and the school committee's remaining 6 members meet to fill vacancy by a roll call vote. A majority is required to appoint the replacement, and that person serves until the next annual town election of May 2027. That vacant seat occurred in April, and then an additional vacant seat occurred when our chair resigned on June 4th of this year. In April, I believe the select board chair had stated that the school committee seat vacated in April would be filled after the May 19th election. On May 20th, the town manager posted a request for letters of interest to be submitted by May 28th for the 1-year school committee appointment. Residents that were interested in serving were invited to submit letters of interest to the town of Holliston. And then a joint school committee and select board meeting was posted on May 28th and scheduled for June 2nd. And the purpose on the agenda was to review and discuss the candidates together. In addition, the school committee at that time reserved their right at the June 2nd meeting to vote on a candidate or candidates for recommendation to the select board. Again, this notice was provided on May 22nd. In addition, on June 1st, a joint school committee and select board meeting was posted for today, and that is the one that requires that joint roll call vote. And again, we're talking about the April vacancy. At the June 2nd joint school committee and select board meeting, following a review of each candidate's letter of interest and upon hearing candidate statements, the school committee members considered the responsibilities of the role, including oversight of the district budget, superintendent evaluation, collective bargaining, and policy development. Members also considered each applicant's experience, qualifications, and readiness to contribute during what we believed was a particularly important year for the district that includes contract negotiations and significant leadership transitions. We recognize, however, that the explanation of the process implemented in the June 2nd meeting was unclear to some and resulted in community frustration. We take responsibility for that, and we're committed to doing better. In future situations, we will work to provide greater clarity regarding the process being followed and the rationale behind our decisions. We also want to acknowledge that the candidates who step forward to be considered for the position. Volunteering for public service requires time and a willingness to contribute to our community and make, at times, difficult decisions that not everyone will agree with. We are grateful for their interest in serving the Holliston Public Schools. We also want to address the conduct that occurred at the conclusion of the June 2nd meeting and continued thereafter. Holliston is a community that has long valued service, civic engagement, respect, and inclusion. While disagreement and passionate advocacy are important parts of a healthy democracy, personal attacks, misinformation, online harassment, and efforts to disparage individuals are inconsistent with those values. Public service should not come with the expectation that volunteers, candidates, elected officials, staff members, or their families will be subjected to harassment or misrepresentation. Regardless of one's position on a particular issue or decision, we all share a responsibility to engage with one another respectfully. We recognize and respect the public's right to disagree and to express criticism of our decisions. However, we do seek civility and respectful engagement. We remain committed to listening to community feedback and reflecting on how we can improve our work. We welcome questions, concerns, and differing viewpoints, and we're grateful to the residents who continue to engage constructively in support of our schools. So again, it's on behalf of our committee.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else on the school committee want to make a statement, or is that the? Okay, I just wanted to give you a chance if you did want to. Do either of you want to make any comments at this time?
If you could just define the process next. you're going to call for feedback from the board as we go through this? I don't have any statement to make, but.
Yes, so after we conclude this, we're gonna go through and ask to see, like, is everybody comfortable going forward with the appointment
Okay.
tonight? And then we will go through if yes, then we will
Okay.
go through a process by which,
Okay.
and then we would discuss the second resignation and
Okay.
that appointment process, just to make sure everybody, again, to Don's point, that we all have clarity on what exactly is about to
Perfect.
happen.
All right, thank you.
Do you have anything?
Yeah, just briefly. I think everything you've said, I think we would probably concur with completely. For me, one of the things that I want to be focusing on this next year is making sure that whatever processes we undertake, they are the most open and the most transparent processes available. I think that's to the benefit of everyone in the community. Even if we disagree, we should make those disagreements very visible. And as long as we're comporting ourselves with decorum, those disagreements, that friction makes diamonds, and we should not shirk away from it. That's where I stand. So thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Okay. At this point, I would like to sort of ask you and the school committee, if you've already taken a vote, that's fine, or if you want me to go through to say, like, are you comfortable going forward with an appointment process tonight, or would you like to take a step back and go through not do it tonight? I basically, like, what is the consensus here?
I think that that's something we have to all talk about. I
Okay.
mean, if the question is being directed personally to me, I
Yeah.
think it's not a time to run for the hills. I think, you know,
Okay.
this is a decision that we need to move forward
Yep.
with, and we need to discuss and move on from.
Okay.
That being said, I do reserve our right, if anyone on school committee wants to make another recommendation to put a particular candidate forward, I do
Mhm.
think we have that right to do that, to
Absolutely.
put one candidate or two candidates
Sure.
forward. But I do want to move forward this
Tonight.
evening and
Okay.
make a decision.
Oh, I was kind of asking, because you did say you talked about the statement as a jointly. I wasn't sure if you had talked as a
Right. No,
as a
I'm
committee.
clarifying now, that's my position. that I'd
Okay,
like to move
okay, so you want
forward.
me
I
to
think you
go
should.
through, I can pull through
Yes.
everybody. Jess, how are you feeling about going forward tonight?
I think I agree. If the three candidates who are still willing, I think let's move forward today. If we haven't scared them off yet,
Okay,
I think
okay,
I'm comfortable moving forward.
okay. Hillary, what do you think?
I agree.
Okay, Frank?
Originally, I thought, depending how tonight turned out, obviously, and
Yeah.
then we had chatted quickly, Ben.
Yes.
I guess the question I would have, and I know you guys already voted, so putting you on the spot, like, do we want to give the candidates any last statements, or, like, because, I mean, we'll say it Tuesday, to say it wasn't tainted, I think would be incorrect, so like, a last statement to say, like, what they would think about.
Yes.
I think would be fair, but I
Okay.
would be assuming, we give them an opportunity, I would be okay with moving forward.
Okay, I had spoken to the three candidates, and I see two of them, and I apologize, there's one other candidate, I don't know what they look like or whether or not they're here, but they said that they would be here, so.
Okay.
As far as I know, all three of the candidates who are still remaining have said that they are in attendance, and if we'd like to hear from them, then we can. Tracy, are you comfortable going forward tonight?
Yes, I would like to. I think any attempt to sort of further push this off would be detrimental.
Okay, great, okay. And there's consensus from the school committee, so I think we'll move ahead at this time.
I was going to actually make,
Okay.
my feeling is I would be wide open to a conversation about deferring, having a cooling off period to put some distance between the events of last week, but also the events in between last Tuesday and tonight. I mean, there's been a significant amount of change in the process that we all endeavored to join together in prior to Tuesday. There's been a significant amount of change over the past 7 days. And as a response to that change and what's been consumed by the public as they watch it, this board has received an enormous amount of feedback. And much of the feedback has concern about process, either it be the school committee's process or the select board's process, either it be an individual on either board or committee or an individual in the public. We've received an enormous amount of feedback with concern. I think it's fair to say, without using any flowery language here, that there's a general concern over how this is moving forward without pointing any fingers. It's come from all directions, pointed at everybody. So for me, what feels appropriate is to put a bit of an arm's length distance between the events of the past week in an effort to cool things down. But I think it's more than that. I think that perhaps we could collaborate and work with perhaps an organization like the Massachusetts Association of School Committees. Perhaps contact the executive director, Glenn Kuchar, and ask him to step in to work with the two boards committees on a joint statement that to the community describes the process moving forward and sort of resets. So bringing in a third party outside, an expert in the issues the school committee is obviously faced with in the two empty seats that you have, but perhaps a third party expert in this arena of school committees could come and guide the town through this process. I understand that that is a role that the executive director of the Massachusetts Association of School Committees would take on, and I'm interested in hearing the thoughts on that. So that's one suggestion, if we were to take a cooling off approach, to bring somebody in like that. If we were to get to a point where a third party could help us navigate through a joint statement, it gives us time too for you to have your school committee council review it, the town school committee, the town's council review it, and then when we come back together, we have a clearly defined, vetted by external voices, experts, and also reviewed by council that we can present to the public to say moving forward. Because I think what I hear most of all in all of the comments from everybody at the table, but also from the public, is folks are looking for collaboration and a togetherness as we go forward. I don't think anybody has enjoyed anything about the past week. And I wonder if that's a solution that satisfies the public attention that we've gotten, but also defines a process for everybody here at this table that we can all agree on. Not that we don't agree, but that we are developing and agreeing on moving forward. That's a suggestion that I have. I'm open to a conversation about it, but that's my opinion.
So I think my response to that would be that we are a 7-member board that's down 2 members now, and we have a significant amount of work to do during a leadership transition that's happening very shortly. And so while I am not opposed to bringing MASC in, and I've reached out to Glenn Kuchar on other issues in these past 7 years, I actually see an opportunity to reach out to them. And we will now have 3 brand new members, and there's certainly some trainings that MASC can provide to new membership and to all membership. So I see that as something that we could later reach out on, but we have a lot of work to do, and it's not waiting, and there's only 5 of us now. And I also think that, we don't have to be lawyers to look at Mass General Law 41, Section 11 and our bylaws. When we put the select board on notice of a vacancy, there is a 30-day time period, and we're now past that time period, right? I'm not saying you've done anything wrong here. To be clear, what I'm saying is that was triggered on May 1st, and then it requires that 7-day notice period, and that's occurred. And we got a candidate pool significantly larger than, I think you've certainly been through this with the library just last summer, and with other boards. And sometimes you may only get 1 candidate, or you get 2 candidates or 3 candidates. As it stands, we have 3 candidates. We had the opportunity to review letters of interest. We had the opportunity to review candidate statements. We've asked them to make themselves available tonight for additional questions. I would very much like to fill both this vacancy and then set a timeline to move forward and fill the next vacancy. We will have new leadership at a number of positions, and 3 out of our 7 members are going to need to get up to speed on what they did. I think just to kind of understand, and Jess can speak to this too, one of the things you have to sign up for an 8-hour course. There's a lot of trainings that they undergo, and certainly trying to get MASC in. We'll have a brand new superintendent, a brand new assistant superintendent of finance and operations, and a brand new director of curriculum and instruction coming aboard in just a matter of weeks, and they would like to be able to meet with school committee and move forward with a plan. So I don't think delay is where we should be headed.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. My suggestion really comes from, I understand the school committee has very specific needs that you're looking to accomplish here, or goals that you're looking to accomplish. My suggestion is in response to the extraordinary events of the past week and the public feedback we've received. So I think we all serve multiple needs and goals, and so I don't disagree at all, Dawn, with the needs of the school committee and what you're trying to accomplish. Very respectful of that. I'm bringing forward the suggestion for everyone at the table to consider, given the other aspects to this decision and this process that we're engaged in.
And I am agreeable to a joint communication. I'd certainly work with that. I know you have a busy meeting scheduled. I work with you this evening on that if you would like, or we could reconvene later this week. We could certainly, we could make a motion and direct one person to work with one person from the select board, and we could sit down later this week, and then we could reconvene next week and put out a joint statement if you would like. So I'm not opposed to a joint statement, but I would like to be able to move forward and get an additional member to join us and start that training process.
I hear your point about the community feedback, but I also don't want to set up a precedent that the behaviors of the past week, as Mr. Sparrow just pointed out, the way in which we were treated, the way in the vitriol that was online, that is an acceptable form of governing in this town, and it's not. So the past precedent of appointees has gone the way we have set it up, and so to change it mid-game seems unfair to the community. So I'm certainly open to moving forward after this, but I think the processes in place need to continue as they've been set up, and to change it now would be unfair. And listening to a small vocal group, we got just as many emails this week in favor of how things moved and sort of supporting the direction the school committee was looking to go. So I would encourage us to move forward with that, not change it.
I would add to that, I balanced in my head, Tina, as well. Should we pause? The question becomes, how long does a pause become, right? Pausing a week, what would that do? And seeing, I do think a lot of folks in town, our neighbors, woke up with what happened last week. It was not a good event, or events that followed too, but I think a lot of people woke up and said this is not right. And we ended up here tonight, honestly, how the process was spelled out. So if we ended up in a different scenario where it was but not aligned with the process that was laid out originally, I would say maybe we do need to pause and rethink it, but, not happy, I don't think anyone happy is how we got here, but we laid out exactly, what you laid out is where we're at right now, so why pause it? And that's what I did, and again, I'm only putting in perspective out there, having the candidates give one last, statement, I think would give them one last voice so that we can consider before a formal vote is taken.
And Ben, if I may clarify one thing, perhaps I misspoke, this will be my last comment. I didn't mean to refer to the events of the June 2nd meeting. What I meant to refer to is the withdrawal of the candidate that you voted for to move forward, and then also the resignation of the chair. That was what I was referring to in regards to the extraordinary events of the past week. That's really what my focus is on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is anybody, any other thoughts here? Dim, any comments here?
I'm all right with moving ahead. I think with the three candidates, I appreciate the olive branch you're trying to extend here. I do think that time is a bit of the essence, so I prefer to move ahead, at least for this appointment, with the three. Point of information, have you two already discussed potentially time framing for the next appointment?
We'd like to discuss that.
I think we want to put it, I think we've sort of thrown out I threw out some ideas, but I think it's a discussion we need to have as a group, so we can all agree on what's going to happen. And and I do agree that, I think we can kind of meet halfway here. We do want to put the things forward tonight. We have three candidates. They should all be here, and then maybe we can talk about a joint statement to sort of push through to work together on some kind of communication as a group, and agree on a process for the second seat. So that way everybody, we have everything moving forward, and then we can just execute the process, and we're not sowing any confusion along the way. So I think, all right, so it feels like we're comfortable moving forward. It feels like there's enough interest in doing so. So what I'll do first is I will talk about the three candidates, just mention who the three candidates who are remaining, who I reached out to all the candidates that had not previously withdrawn, so there were 5. I reached out to all 5 and heard back from all 5. 2 candidates withdrew their candidacy, and 3 candidates have said that they are interested, and they explicitly said that they were still interested in continuing. I asked them all to be here. I think I saw one I know is in the room, and I apologize if Karen, I apologize, Karen is here as well. So we have the 3 candidates are all in attendance. So are people, I guess my question for you folks, just to make sure, like, do we want to hear from the candidates at all, or do we want to ask them questions? I don't want to, I mean, I want to make sure that, it might be easiest to just sort of give them a chance to have a couple comments, and if people have a question they can ask. Are people comfortable with doing that at this point? So the 3 candidates there's Ali Lima, who I believe is on Zoom. We have David Kime, and we have Karen DeMonica. So we have those 3 candidates. 2 are in the room, 1 is on Zoom. So if it is possible, if we could spread out just a little bit, just as long as there's a microphone, and then we can introduce, you could have each one, the 2 candidates that are in the room, if they're amenable, to come up and just reintroduce yourself, and just, and if the group has a question or 2. Yeah, we got a chair, we're good.
1 chair or 2?
We only need, we'll do one at a time, one person at a time, just to make it a little bit easier. So if you could just introduce yourself, and then, if you have a couple comments this evening, people, I'm sure, have been able to review your statements and your letter of interest. And then I'm just going to throw it open to see if there's any questions for you at this time.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. So
David Kime, 442 Fisk Street. I shared in my last message just my history here in Holliston. One of the things I didn't go into was, each year we have our budget. Miller is probably $10 million compared to, the 40 million, but we're in charge of that. And I've been in charge of it for 23 years. We have to each year fight for our staffing, based on the needs of the kids, and make sure that we have what we need. If we have tutors and things and we've got needs that way, we put in our budget requests that way. Regards to negotiations, I have not sat on teacher negotiations, but I've sat in on arbitrators, moderators, things like that can sometimes be worse than the teacher negotiations. Going from room to room while people discuss certain things. I do know the teacher contract because I've lived it for the last 27 years. And, there are things administratively we would like to see in there, and I can see where the teachers, have their points. Am I friends with teachers? Absolutely. But at the same time, I've been their principal. And, you have to have those tough conversations with people that you've worked with. But part of those tough conversations is relationships. And I feel over my 27 years, people will say that's one of my strongest attributes, is building the relationships on either side. Am I a principal? Absolutely. But I will not be when I'm on school committee. I will no longer be hired by the Holliston Public Schools, the town of Holliston. It would be my responsibility to do my job as a school committee member, and that is budget and policy. My job isn't to, be on the principal's side. My job is to support the superintendent. My job is to support, the people of Holliston.
Okay, thank you. Anybody at the table have any questions for David right now?
I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
Something that's come up a lot in public comments, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot because you're first past the post right now, so everyone else is going to have a few more moments to think about it.
Yep.
So take your time. We talk a lot about the fact that the schools make up the majority of the budget in the town, obviously. Taxpayers are kind of sensitive to that, and a conversation that we hear a lot is one about measurable outcomes. And how can you tell if you're getting what you're investing back? And I'm kind of interested, you've probably faced it through decades, this is a conversation that pops back in and out, but what kind of objective measures would you as a member of the school committee, now not an administrator or a teacher from the past, look at to say, this is something we can measure to know if objectively the investments are worthwhile, if they merit more investment, or if we're at a good plateau?
Yep, so one of the things we focus a lot on is our accountability status through the state, and they make that public. And so we look at where our weaknesses are. And as a school committee member, I can see that for all 4 schools and see, what do we need to do to improve. Sometimes that can be with an MLL population. Sometimes that could be with, just high needs students. But at the same time, there's accountability data right there. Recently, and again, it's the talk of the town, not the program, but iReady itself, looking at where kids are 3 times a year, not the program itself, but the accountability data. You can see growth for students. And so, we're using it, Placentino's using it, middle and high have a different one. It's just looking at that data and making sure kids are improving.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Any other?
So I have a question, Dave.
Yeah.
How do you think your position as it currently stands, which you'll be retiring in a few weeks?
Yep.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
How do you think that positively helps and also blind spotted the cause?
Positively, I know the players in the field. And I hope that I can build that relationship with Chemo on the other side. And hopefully he can utilize that relationship in his dealing with the staff. I think I'm the senior admin across the district right now, so I've got history. Blind spot, I would hope that people could point that out to me as we're going along. If they see it, I'm open to changing because we all have blind spots. But that's why they're called blind spots, because you don't see
You're not aware.
them.
Good point.
One additional question, Dave.
Yep.
Can you tell me about a school committee decision that you disagreed with or you think we didn't get quite right and what you would have done differently? And I say that because I think it's important for if you're sitting in this seat to be able to bring that. We shouldn't always agree.
Yep.
And we should have those difficult conversations. But can you think of and again, this is part of what I asked you.
Well, I think I shared it with you, and I'm going to use the same one.
You did, but for the benefit of everyone here.
Originally, they wanted to do 2 separate bus runs, one with elementary and middle, and one with our kids and the high school kids. And Dr. Slaney and I disagreed with that, and we voiced that in a school committee meeting where there were school committee members who felt those should be the 2 runs because we were trying to make sure that the high school students were getting out early enough for sports, but yet the timing of everything was working. And because we added the 15 minutes in our schedule, we were never able to combine Placentino and Miller because of the time. There's unified arts teachers that span both buildings, and because we added that 15 minutes, we were actually able to put a schedule together that we could be on one schedule. And so we were able to make the buses work, the pickup work. I tell you, that first week, we probably took us a half hour to get out of school. We are done in 10 minutes now, getting all the parents through and everything. So I did disagree with that, and I'm glad we went in a different direction.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? All right. David, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I'd like to invite Karen, if you'd come on up. We only got to hear.
That's a tough act to follow.
I know. You were able to hear your statement, but we're actually able to meet you now.
Yes,
so if you could-
I was on an airplane to Nebraska with one of my boys.
People love going to Nebraska.
It's flat.
Lots of corn.
It's corn, flat.
So if you could introduce yourself and sort of talk a little
So
bit.
I am Karen Demotica, 125 Westfield Drive. I've lived here for the last just about 14 years, almost 15 years. So I have 4 boys that have all, like I said in my statement, have gone through the school system in various ways. And I would say that without, kind of the supports and needs and, that they've had through the school system, they would not be, where they are now. My oldest son, he was on an IEP all through school, and he's a plumber now. My next one, he wanted to go to boarding school for competitive hockey, and basically Holliston set him up great for being able to be successful in that endeavor. He just graduated. My 15-year-old is at the high school. He's a 9th grader, and then my next one is at Miller. He's in 3rd grade.
Which boarding school was it?
He went to the Groton School.
I went to Middlesex. So
Oh, okay. So, yeah, so, and then I am an educator myself. I work at the Ashland Public Schools, and I am a fourth grade teacher. I was a third grade teacher for a long time, and I currently moved to fourth grade.
Wonderful. Do we want to
Yeah, I'll just
re-ask the question?
Without the preamble this time, what kind of metrics do you think are useful in measuring the outcome for investments to the school?
So funny. I was just at my data team meeting today. So
Great.
So we use a lot of the same, like, so kind of piggybacking on what David said. So even, the state metric, we look at that every year. We look at specific questions. We look at what can we do differently? How can we change our scope and sequence? How can we, so you can, kind of broaden that, and that would be the same type of way that you could use that and think about the schools, across, the 3 schools that use that. We also use iReady, and that's a great tool to measure growth and to see where they're growing, why they're growing. You can also look at specific standards. So, what standards are they not mastering? Why are they not mastering them? What can we do differently? And how does that look in curriculum? How does that look in, execution? How does that look in teaching? So there are lots of different metrics usually within the school that you can use that, look at growth and how students are doing.
Thank you.
Great. Do you want to share some question?
Yes. Can you think of a recent school committee decision, or any school, you've had kids through the district for a number of years, but a school committee decision that you disagreed with or you would have approached differently? And just tell me a little bit about that.
So, and we had this conversation, and I guess really as a community member, I try to keep an open mind, and I try to be thoughtful of, there are lots of things that I don't always know that are happening behind the scenes. As much as everything is transparent, as much as we, want to be able to know everything, there are still things that we don't always know. I did sit on the school bus committee when we had to do the school bus times and had to pick which 2 schools would ride together. And I think in that what was hard was that we were told specifically they cannot start at the same time.
And that was what I learned. And then we quit. Because I heard the same thing.
So, and I guess I feel like, and that coming from the school committee and that coming from the district, I think it made that difficult, because how do you decide which kids are going to go together when you had to mix really little kids with, older kids? But I don't necessarily know as if, I didn't necessarily agree, but I also wouldn't have thought that 15 minutes would have made a difference with the, the schedule changes. And again, like things that as the public that we aren't always privy to. So I try to keep an open mind of if maybe I didn't love it, but I necessarily wasn't privy to all of everything that went into making that decision.
Thank you.
To ensure we're asking the same questions, I'll pivot a little bit differently because
Okay.
that was really pivoted towards Mr. Kime. But as an educator, what benefit would you bring the committee in your own opinion, and what scenario where you would have a blind spot? Maybe not a blind spot because David answered appropriately. Area where you feel like you need to get up to speed or think differently.
So as an educator, I think because I'm familiar with curriculum, I'm familiar with negotiations more from my end, but then I, as our union president used to say all the time, it's not a list of demands. You have to be able to work together with people in order to kind of meet in the middle. So I think that's something that I understand and think would be a positive strength. And then, we implement policy, we have to read new policy, anything that comes down from our school committee or, things like that. And budget, other than I can see the budget every year, I understand that there's money that has to go certain places. I understand that it is not always cut and dry, that, just because you get this money, it might have to be allocated for here. So I feel like I can catch on and learn those things. But where do I think, I think that probably where my lack of experience might be, where I would have to be brought up to speed in a lot of things and learn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Can I ask? Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
One of the things that stood out in your letter was your experience with the new school building committee in
yes.
Ashland. Can you
Mhm.
speak a little bit about your involvement in that and any
Yes.
lessons learned?
So, after it went through the MSBA approval, they formed a committee of teachers, parents, community members, the superintendent, the architects, and so we met monthly, sometimes bi-monthly, and so we talked about things. We talked about location, we talked about size, we talked about layout, we talked about the benefits of different locations. So where the building is now was built on the same plot of land that our old building was on, but we also talked about building it toward like where the middle school was and the benefits of that. And so it was really just kind of thinking about how the building would work, the layout of the building, we got to see mock-ups of things that the architects did. And so one of the things that I had said, so I sat on it for the first 2 years, and then they had different people kind of go through so that they could have different perspectives. And we also helped when they were picking furniture, so they would bring some in, they would talk to us about desk size, so desks are one of them that I can really speak to as a teacher. So we have trapezoid desks, and we thought they were going to be the coolest thing, and this was the new thing, and the architects were like, these are so great, and everybody loves them, and I hate them. Because it's really hard to configure the class. I move my desks around a lot, so they're hard to put together, they're hard to group together. So it's just some of those things. They did things in wings, and so I'm teaching 4th grade, but I'm in the 3rd grade hallway, because it just so happens this year that we have 11 4th grades, but each wing is only 10 classrooms. So it's just sometimes thinking about that flexibility, but at the time that we built the building, we had never had 11 classrooms in one grade. So it's really being able to have that forward thinking and that being able to think about things, our building is beautiful and I love it, but just some things that hindsight, if you could think of and put together. So I think that's one of those things that it's a benefit of being able to kind of sit through the process, at the beginning and the things that you talk about, and then having lived in the building after the fact and kind of with some of the decisions that were made.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. Chief Cassidy, can I ask a little favor? Can you hit the... Thank you so much. Allie, are you on?
Yes, I'm on. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you okay. So Allie, do you want to make a comment to start out, and then we're going to ask you a couple questions?
I'm sure. I don't think I have anything new to offer per se, meaning that, in my letter of interest, I talked kind of more in depth perhaps than I did at the last meeting. I think I'm kind of complementary to the other candidates in that I have a corporate background and, I'm an engineer, I'm a numbers person, spreadsheets are my thing. And so I'm, that's definitely my forte. I'm happy to entertain any questions you have.
Okay. We're probably going to ask the questions, so if you heard, they're probably going to be asked again. So I'll go to Damon first, then Dawn, and Frank, and I don't know if maybe. We'll see. So we'll start with Damon here.
Hi, Allison. Just to recap, what kind of metrics are you interested in when it comes to judging the progress of the schools, and how might you use them?
I think what I hear mostly from the public is sort of how we stack up against other districts. For me, one of the kind of most important thing is actually kind of the people, staff, retention. How easy is it for us to hire, highly qualified staff? Do staff stay? Are they moving? I think that's kind of the biggest asset. So in terms of metrics, that's something that's super important to me relative to staff retention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dawn?
Thank you. And Allie, I'll ask you what I had asked you previously when we spoke leading up to that June 2nd meeting, which is can you just reflect on a recent school committee decision and whether one that you might have disagreed with or you would have approached differently, and tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I guess first to reiterate our conversation then, I think as a member of the public, it's actually kind of hard to to fully understand all the little pieces that go into all the discussion. And certainly when there's things that are covered in executive session, it's hard to know. So I would put that big asterisk on it. I mean, the short answer is I don't know, because I haven't been behind the curtain with all of you. I will say, I just had 2 high schoolers graduate, and the movement to adjust the high school schedule from the block schedule to the future schedule, it felt very rushed, and it felt like everybody was just sort of rushing to judgment, and it was hard to get answers to things, not necessarily from you, in terms of kids following up with teachers to understand what this could look like. And so I think I don't actually have any problem with the change in schedule. But I think that it felt rushed, and I don't know if that was like a communication piece, or maybe that I wasn't really engaged early enough on. And then the other thing I would just offer is the meeting that I did go to, there were students that spoke during public comment. And I think public comment is such a funny thing, right? Because you want people to be able to comment. And there's kind of no back and forth. And in that meeting, the school committee tried to offer some back and forth. But I felt like against one of the students who spoke, it was almost sort of correcting their lens of how this would impact them. And I didn't think that was appropriate. So that's it.
Okay.
Thanks, Sally.
Thank you, Ally. Frank?
So I'll continue to refine my question. It keeps getting better each round. Start off saying, what benefits, you mentioned your corporate background, what sets you apart from the other candidates, and what are areas you feel like are of opportunity?
I think for me, one of the things I took away from the last meeting is that the school committee is really focused on the budget piece, and that's a gap in the members that are currently on the board. And so I think, to me, that's, I don't want to say effortless, because there are obviously nuances with school committee budgets and municipal finance, and I don't have those. But again, as a numbers person, that's not something that really is a concern for me at all. I think what I'm, coming from this past week and sort of the things that have happened over the past week, I think it feels like people are on kind of all sides of the issue are rushing to judgment on from the community towards the school committee, so I feel like that gap of communication, and specifically what are the rules of engagement, shall we say, as a school committee member, right? I've never sat in the seat, I've never gotten the training, and so that's something that would be a priority for me, so that the communication going forward could be collaborative in nature.
Jess, did you want to?
Sorry, I'm
It's
taking
okay.
notes too, taking minutes.
That's okay.
Did I?
You asked about MSBA
Yeah.
experience for.
So, do you also, I know you said you've worked, in your letter, you say that you've worked on the design of some elementary schools. Those were not MSBA projects though, correct? Okay, but can you talk a little bit about your experience and your involvement in those projects?
Sure. For clarity, the schools that I've been involved in are U.S. funded projects, not in the U.S. The particular schools were in South Korea. And that's where one of my clients is. And so relative to, a school, the life cycle of a school, it first needs to be programmed, which means you need shall we say, a good idea of what this needs to be, square footage, and how many students, everything to the, utilities that are feeding the school and how things, how the whole site works. Do you have enough land? And identifying costs to that. All of that I would call, say, the program, but it's really high level. And so coming off of that, I've participated in charrette meetings, which are essentially big group collaboration meetings that pulled in everybody from, the DPW guy that's going to maintain the HVAC system, to the superintendent of the school, to the crossing guard that's concerned that kids can get there safely, and really looked at the school as this holistic place. I think in Holliston, it's also an opportunity to try to understand how it could also serve the community, secondary to the school population as well. So, from a school standpoint, I've been involved in all of those early things, all the way through design and writing specifications and drawings and all of that. So specific to Massachusetts, I've been involved in no school projects in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ally. Appreciate you answering some questions. So, all right. So we've heard from the candidates. At this time, I was going to open it up to some public comment, and I wanted to add 3 things to public comment. And the first is, obviously, we can't tell people what they can and can't say, but we would ask that people were civil and respectful. I can't, people are allowed to say what they want to say, but I would implore people to be civil and respectful. You're on camera, and we're all neighbors here, so we're going to run each other at Coffee Haven. So remember those kinds of things. The second thing is that I would ask that all comments be made to me, the chair, and we're not going to go in a back and forth in a conversation because I know there's a lot of interest here, and I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to speak. But I also want to make sure that we can keep things even, and so that I would ask that all comments be made to me, and questions will be answered at another time, not at this time. And then the third thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for a limit of 3 minutes. There is a lot of interest, and I recognize that putting limits on public comment is something that some people don't love, but at the same time, because I want to make sure that we get to comments, if you think about that, if there's 20 people and there's 3 minutes, we're here for an hour. So I want to make sure that we're respectful and we give an opportunity for everybody to have a chance to speak, but we also ensure that the time is respected for everybody here. So with that, if there are people in the room, you can raise your hand. People on Zoom, please raise your hand through the reaction button. Zoom keeps changing it, so I'm always wrong, but it's reaction, right? So if you can raise your hand on Zoom if you have one. But what I'll do is I'm going to go back and forth depending on what's happening. So if there's somebody in the room that has a hand up, and I see one hand, so I know that person. I see you, Barbara. And then we'll go to the Zoom if there's a hand up at that time. But Barbara, if you want to come forward, what'll happen, I'm going to set my timer for 3 minutes. And you're off your crutches, that's good.
Yes.
How you feeling, you okay?
I'm good. Thank
Okay.
you so much for asking.
And then what I'll do is I'll just raise my hand when you have about 30 seconds left, okay?
Okay,
I won't
thank
say
you.
anything, but, so you can finish your thought, so.
Do you want me to run the stop clock?
What's that? I've got it, but if you want to do it, that's fine too, so. So please, go ahead.
Hi, good evening, Select Board Chair. I'd also like to say good evening to the school committee members here, as well as the other Select Board members, the town manager.
Your name and address.
Oh, sorry, Barbara
That's okay.
Ryan, 14
Thank
Irving
you.
Place,
Go
and
ahead.
also to our town manager and assistant town manager. I wanted to take a moment to speak about the opportunity that exists ahead of us. Over the past week, our community has experienced, including myself, frustration, disappointment, and differing opinions surrounding the school committee appointment process. Regardless of where people stand, I hope we can all agree, and I've heard that this evening, that we can focus now on moving forward constructively and in the best interests of Holliston students in our schools. This one-year appointment is important, and we've heard all the things that you're going to be facing, particularly this year. It is also a time of transition. We have new district leadership, dedicated billing leaders, teachers, and staff who show up every day committed to our students and serving our students. Throughout my career, one lesson has remained constant. The vast majority of people come to work or a position to do a good job. Effective leadership creates conditions for people to succeed, supports them when challenges arise, and holds them accountable to high standards. And I've heard that talked about this night, and I'm really happy to hear that. And I assumed that is how things always happen. And as we move forward, I hope we continue to foster this culture where people feel welcome to participate in public service, share differing viewpoints, and engage in respectful debate. We do not have to agree on every issue, but we should be able to express our views, listen to one another, and serve our community without fear of personal attacks or retaliation. And my hope is tonight that this appointment serves an opportunity to help rebuild trust, encourage respectful dialogue, expand meaningful engagement with us, the community. Healthy communities are not built on unanimous agreement. Healthy communities are built on the ability to listen, to learn from another, disagree respectfully, and continue working toward the shared goals. And this goal is healthy schools and a strong community. Again, we have an opportunity to support strong schools, successful students, empowered administrators and educators and staff, and a community that works together in service of all of them. I very much thank you all for your service and your elected positions to our town, Holliston. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. All right. I'm not seeing any hands on the Zoom. Does anyone on the Zoom have any comments? Otherwise, I'll go back to the room. Anyone in the room want to make a public comment at this time? Going once? No one on the Zoom? No one in the room? It's okay. Okay. All right, we're going to move on then. Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. Okay, so we've heard from the candidates, and we can. What I'd like to do now is just sort of go through with you folks from the school committee, where if you're prepared to talk about some of the candidates and sort of like your thoughts and what you want to do go forward, we can sort of just open this up and hear from you what you think, and whoever wants to start can go ahead.
May I ask a question of our
Of course.
fellow joint session members who are from the school committee? I think obviously we've lost a few candidates along the way, but we do have some very qualified candidates still remaining. I would love to hear, as we deliberate here, which of the skill sets that you see are the most important for this particular position in the shorter term, knowing that we will have another appointment ahead of us. I'm trying to bifurcate those and not see them as, one plug in, one plug out, the same thing. Tonight, I'm very much concerned about this particular spot. So if you could reflect on that as you discuss and help me out to know what you need as a committee to succeed, that would be much appreciated.
Sure. And I think I would start by addressing that. It's very much the same as it was last Tuesday, which is that, we do the parts that I think are the most important for this upcoming year is we lost two experienced members who had, one of which had gone through contract negotiations and had extensive budget experience. And that is where I see the deficit in the area that we need someone with experience in. So I think, in reflecting on the budget and negotiations experience of the three candidates that are before us, David Kimes' experience with his own budget within the Miller School is important. And while he hasn't gone through the process of negotiating with the teachers union, he is well experienced in education and the needs of the community. I think it was really important, the part that he spoke to about relationships. He has those relationships, and that's incredibly important in all the work that we do. But again, I think, superintendent evaluation, policy, certainly areas that we do work in, but for next year, budget and negotiations is the part that weighs the most on me. And for that reason, I appreciate David Kimes' years with our public schools, and I think of the three candidates, he really stood apart from me as being that person in those areas.
Anyone else want
I really appreciate the three candidates because I think we have three people who are all bring strong skill sets, provide a very reflective and thoughtful responses to the questions. And for me, I'm also thinking about the same things we discussed last week in terms of budget negotiations, but also I'm considering that we are in a period of transition, not only as a school committee, but as a school district with leadership transitions. So I'm also thinking about somebody who can kind of help support the district through that transition. And so what I would add to what Dawn said is also support David Kine because he has that institutional knowledge, he has strong relationships, and I think he could bring a lot of experience and knowledge to the school committee from that lens.
At the risk of agreeing 3 for 3 at the moment, I appreciated that everyone sort of contributing and answering questions and expanding a little bit on their experiences as they pertain to what the needs are, but I don't think our needs have changed as a school committee. I think they are still the same as they were a week ago. And I appreciated Mr. Keim explaining a little bit more sort of after hearing our needs last week and sort of the specifics, him sort of going to those areas in particular. And so I would support Mr. Keim.
I think each candidate that came forward, I guess we'll call it candidates, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Brought different skills to the table. And, you know, Damon, you had mentioned, like, for this role specifically, I'm balancing in my head the external knowledge versus the internal knowledge. So you kind of sound like a broken record at this point, but there is a time and a place for external knowledge. I think some folks in the community have spoken out, like, different way of thinking is important. I think we're bringing a lot of that to the district next year. I don't think there's ever too much, but certainly having that bridge and the bridge that David Keim can bring, just understanding the people is a key benefit. And then obviously living the budget, living with the negotiations, the outcome of those, like, brings him, for this moment, for me, the top candidate.
Okay. Jess, do you want to?
I will echo what everyone else has said about Mr. Keim. I feel comfortable knowing that he has worked within the school budget before. That said, I was very impressed with Ally's experience as well with budgets, and just she's a literal engineer, so like I think she's pretty capable of handling a budget. But I do, as she said, like thinking from like the municipal finance lens and a school budget, I think Mr. Keim brings that. I know he spoke to, you know, his relationship building skills, which I think is going to be incredibly important, especially in light of everything that's unfolded in the last few weeks. I think he's a familiar face, a kind person who can bring us together and get us moving in the right direction. And his familiarity, wow, I can't speak, with the schools is also going to be beneficial for us moving forward. So I would say right now I'm comfortable moving forward with Mr. Keim.
Okay.
That said, I would love for the other two candidates, I don't know who wants to consider reapplying for the next round if that's not the direction we go today.
Can I ask a follow-up on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, and I defer to you, Mr. Chair. My understanding is we'll be doing an approval vote on that, which means that we can vote for more than one candidate, and we tally the votes in that way.
Well, we had discussed that as a possibility, but I think we needed to find an opportunity to, if people were amenable to that. And I think, I throw it out there as an option, but I think, if people want to do that, we certainly can. But I also want to, if people want to make it just a nomination and an appointment, I think we can go that route as well.
Then I would say I would highly encourage an approval vote for the appearance and also for the transparency. You will probably get exactly the same outcome because you can vote for as many people as you think are qualified for this position. But it also sends a signal about the kind of caliber of people. So there are two people for this position, this particular one, that I would probably approve. I would assume, based on the conversations we're having, that it's pretty obvious, I think, where your hearts lie. But an approval voting system is incredibly transparent, and it essentially says we go for each candidate, and everyone just says yea or nay on each one. Person with the highest tally.
And
that's
you
the
can
person.
vote multiple times,
You can vote
yes.
multiple times, yeah.
So, I mean, let me just throw that out there. Do people want to just make a nomination for one person, or would they be interested in approval vote? I mean, we're sort of like, we're asking you something on the spot, and I put it in, sort of the proposal here, and we don't have, either one is fine.
And I know you proposed that, but I do think that becomes part of what unfolded before, which is making assumptions about the process, and I do believe that it's
Sure.
all of us need
Yeah.
to give input on that, so
I agree,
while
and
that
that's
was
why I
your
brought it
proposal,
forward.
I wasn't
I-
assuming that we would all be agreeable to that, so I do think we have to talk about that.
I am willing to do that.
In this particular, I think in light of last week's meeting too, I think it's important to be talking about the positive parts,
Mhm.
and I think we did just do that.
Absolutely.
I am in favor of almost like a similar nomination of one
Mhm.
and moving forward from there.
Okay.
And I do that reflecting on the fact that I want to make sure that we have a full candidate pool for the next appointment,
Mhm.
right? And I think, so that's an important, I mean, we still have another
Another
member
seat to
to
fill.
seat.
Mhm.
And again, I come at you with the urgency part of it. We're gonna have
Mhm.
3 brand-new members, and
Yep.
I'd like to be moving forward, getting people trained in June and early July.
Yep.
So, because of that, I would like to move forward with that one vote and
Okay.
not do it that way. But I want to hear what everyone here
I
at the
agree, and
table
I'd love to hear from other people, what your feeling is here. And obviously, like, I would, either way is fine. It doesn't really matter, but I just want to hear from that first, and then I'll from you safely.
So considering that this is a joint meeting and that there are 5 of us, school committee members here, can I put forward a motion to move forward Mr. Keim as the appointee?
You absolutely can. We can absolutely put that motion on the floor. I mean,
Just to know, I will probably have to abstain if you do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we're done discussing this.
I would like to complete that discussion, and you can say we don't want to do that. I want to make that nomination. That's totally fine. But right now, I just want to, approval voting basically is we would list each candidate, and everybody has the opportunity to say yes or no. And you can say yes to all 3, you can say yes to one, you can, it doesn't, you can say yes as often to as many as you would like, and the person with the most would be considered the person for the appointment. And if there's a tie, we would put it between those 2. However, I also hear that there could be, there's a couple of people who would like to do it as just an appointment of a single individual. So I just wanted to throw it out there that is an option, and I wanted to hear from you what you thought, which one you'd like to go for.
I would like to go forward the appointment.
Okay.
I would be concerned, because I think everyone is so well qualified, that we're gonna risk singling one person out by like one vote. And I wouldn't wanna do that to any of our candidates. I feel like,
So you want to do just an appointment?
I think, well, what the alternative would still just result in one appointment.
It would still
correct?
result in one
Yes.
appointment. We would just have a yes or no on all 3 candidates. And either one doesn't, it
Oh,
sounds like
I
what you're
see.
saying is there's only one
I see,
candidate.
so we're gonna go around and say yes or no to all 3.
That would be
That would be
approval
approval
voting
voting.
if we are in
Okay.
favor of doing that.
Gotcha.
Ben, may I make a comment?
Yeah.
Well, number one, I would like the chance to give feedback on the interviews. I'm assuming that
We'll get there too,
perfect.
yeah.
And then the idea of the pause, in my mind, when I proposed that earlier, was to deliberate on the idea of approval voting. I understand the direction we're going, and I'm not challenging that at all. I would ask that it becomes a part of a conversation for that second appointment, for that second seat, that's all.
We can have that, we can certainly
Okay,
have that
thank you.
additional conversation.
I actually do align with you, Damon, on that, to think differently. However, if we didn't have one on the heels of this one, I would be challenged, and I know it ends up being the same way, but I don't feel comfortable saying no to someone, and we also are asking them to potentially put their hat in the ring. So like the appointment process lends itself to more of a positive intent than us having to say definitively yes or no. Because I honestly don't think I'd be no on any candidate, just the right person for the right time. Come a month from now, they may change, and me saying no now, I don't feel comfortable with that.
I was thinking the same. I
Okay.
was concerned that the approval process would discourage 2 other very qualified candidates.
And given the other appointment coming so soon
Yeah.
afterwards,
That's
it could,
yes.
it certainly could change the outcomes and the direction. So I understand that. So I certainly am amenable to a single on a nomination and approval for that. So.
I feel we've
But
discussed it at
I
this point.
appreciate everybody just sort of, thinking about it, and I certainly understand. We can have a little further conversation about the second one, if that's the right route. And we can just agree on it, and then just go forward with that.
Yeah, I agree with that, Mr. Chair. I think,
So-
I just want to make sure that we had a proper time to discuss it.
Sure.
Yep.
And you said you wanted to chime in on the candidates, you wanted to comment?
If that's the intent for the full board
Yeah.
to communicate?
Well, I left with, we hadn't heard from you, everybody, you all had said who you're, okay, so yes, please.
So I listened to the interviews on last Tuesday. I heard both the candidates speak, read their packets, heard them again tonight, so thank you for the time. I know this is time intensive for you all. And then also listened to the school committee members' comments about what they were prioritizing. And I would say that David Keim checks all of the boxes that the school committee articulated on June 2nd as their priorities in terms of budget, contract negotiations, although not with the HFT, familiarity with contract negotiations. But I also heard the same from Karen DeMonica and from Ali Lima in different ways, so a diversity of experiences that are very, very similar. We have 3 very strong candidates here. This is a difficult decision. I'm going to prioritize, for me, the community relationship building that David Keim, through his role as principal, has spent decades now honing. I think that where we sit as a board, our role is not to understand the complexity of the school committee, but it is to be equal partners in this process, representing our executive role as the executive board for the town of Holliston, but also the voters and the residents of Holliston, and that's everybody. And I think that what we have heard loudly over the past week is community relationships matter. And folks are looking for more of that through the work of the school committee, through the work of our board. So for all of that, I would put David Keim above, recognizing that we have 2 incredibly strong candidates right behind him.
Okay. Anybody have any?
No, I concur.
Okay. I will take a motion if people want to make pull forward.
So is it just the school committee? So I make
Yeah,
motion that
whoever
the school
vote.
committee puts forward that.
Well, it would
the
be,
table-
it's
For
part
the whole
of the
thing,
joint,
yeah.
because we're joint, so we all get a vote,
Okay,
and then,
but
so.
we do reserve the right to be able to do that, to be able to make a school committee recommendation, but it
Do you want a
sounds
you want a
like-
second vote? You
No,
want 2 votes?
I'm not saying we have to do that here. I'm just saying the fact that we are not doing it here today does not mean that can't be that we can't move back to that in the future, because that was a
Okay.
point of contention on Tuesday.
Right,
Okay.
right. I'm just saying for tonight, because we're all at
Yes.
the table, we all have a vote, that the motion would be for all of us, and it's not necessarily just one board.
We would have to come out of joint meeting for, I
Well, I
believe,
mean, they could make a motion on their own
They
to do
Yes,
something like
that
that,
would
but
have
then
to
we
be
would have to have a
specific.
second
Right.
motion
Correct,
to actually make the appointment.
Yes.
So,
Okay. But Tracy, which
do you want to make a motion for the school committee's going to make a recommendation, or would you like to make a motion for all of us to make an appointment?
So if I'm understanding correctly, by doing it as a joint does not take away our chance to do that in the future.
Yeah.
Sure.
And we're okay with that.
Right now, this is the
Yeah.
joint appointment, so
Yeah.
that's what it is, and
Okay.
that other thing is a separate
Yep.
conversation.
And I make a motion to appoint David Keim to the 1-year position. on the school
Second.
committee.
The only thing I would add to that is I
I can't
think
do
we
it.
have to put it as of July 1st, because he's
Effective
technically
July 1st.
an employee
Yes,
of the
effective
schools
July
until June 30th.
Yes.
Okay.
So I just want to make that,
Still
add that to the
seconded.
motion. Okay.
Still second.
All right, we'll go around. Tracy?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Yes.
Jess?
Yes.
Yes.
And I vote yes, and
Yes.
Tina. So,
Excellent.
congratulations, David. Thank you for your patience here. Appreciate it. So that will be as of July 1st. You would be in that
So we
position.
definitely have to schedule a meeting then.
Perhaps, yeah, definitely make that happen.
Okay. All right. So we got through that. We've done that. So now the second part here is let's discuss the next appointment. Dawn has already notified the select board, so that we're ready. We can put out a press release, basically stating what the other one was. We want to figure out what is the time frame that people want to have, and what that process could and should look like for everyone involved. I'd say let me throw a couple scenarios out for discussion here. Certainly, we could do something similar in the appointment process that we did tonight, which is kind of go through the candidates, talk to each one, and then we can decide now if we want to do approval voting then or not. what I would say, the reason I think we wanted to have a second meeting was two reasons. One, we're doing this and we have more business to do as a board, so there's a lot more things that are happening. And two, there was a lot of candidates, and having the opportunity to sort of winnow down the pool appropriately and that the school committee feels is appropriate is an approach that can be taken. So I guess what I would throw forward as an option, there's two options, is that one, we could propose a meeting for the 15th. I can't remember, I think you said you might not be available next Monday.
I'm available next Monday.
You're available next Monday. So I'm throwing that out, and it can be a different date if people are comfortable. Obviously, scheduling, we can obviously take it offline as well if people want to look at their schedules and things like that. Scheduling is not subject to open meeting law, so we can discuss that between each other. So I was going to propose, we don't have a scheduled meeting next Monday, so we could do all of it next week.
I guess my question has been, we just navigated the process here tonight. Is
Yep.
there something different about it that you feel like we need to discuss on the 15th? I know I respect that you have a long meeting, but is there something significantly different about it? Because I would like to get this next appointment completed, and maybe a commitment from the select board and town manager to even open it up as early as tomorrow.
Yes, we would. The intention is to release the press release, basically to do the one we did before.
Okay.
Change the dates.
Which would be tomorrow?
And we would do it tomorrow.
Okay.
If everybody is amenable to that, but we want to agree on the timing, so that way we can put that into the
Absolutely.
press release.
So then, are we thinking if we opened it up tomorrow?
Yes.
That we could then close it within 7 days, 10 days? What are we thinking?
I think we have to keep it open for 7 days.
At a minimum.
Right.
We have to
So-
keep it open for 7 days, yes.
Okay. And given the holiday in that week,
Oh, yeah.
it might even make sense to leave it open to either the 18th or the 22nd, the following week.
Do you want to do
Could
that?
we get a commitment from the boards to meet together the week of June 22nd?
How do people feel about that?
It does leave open for the opportunity to bring in the MASC. If we want to develop a joint statement describing the process to date and moving forward, it does leave that open. That gives more time. It also leaves open the possibility of discussion about approval voting that Damon brought up earlier. I do like the idea of tagging, I'm going to nominate Damon on behalf of the select board, but tagging Damon to work with a member of your committee to just vet the idea of approval voting. And bring that back with a recommendation for the second appointment. So I like the idea of the week of the 22nd. I think that gives enough time to consider both of those options, which we don't have to decide here in the meeting. We can work through Frank.
To be clear, it would be a meeting the week of June 22nd to make the appointment.
Got it.
Right.
Jointly.
So we need a meeting in between, I feel like, to
Right.
set the ground rules. So I
Absolutely.
think for the candidates too, to be fair to them, like what should they expect?
Yes.
This process has not
I think
been
that's-
clean, and
Yes.
I think it's important to share with them what they should expect as we go through this process.
Do you
Absolutely.
expect it to be different than what we did here tonight?
No, but more organized. I mean, even
Okay.
tonight, like having them come and.
Can we
on the
agree to
spot.
run a similar process to what we did here tonight, but reserve the right that if we want a school committee meeting to make a recommendation, that we could also have that?
I just want to make sure we leave it open for approval voting, consideration of
Well,
approval
let's,
voting.
but yeah, we can talk about that separately, but if you want it, you can, yeah. I mean, I'm okay with what you're proposing, which is maybe
Right.
we schedule a meeting the week of the 22nd. You know, we obviously, we'll send out something and just say, what do they call the app that you can pick the days or whatever?
Candidly.
Yeah, I don't know, there's one of those, just so that way we can all make sure, and because I think the easiest way to do it would be, we all just agree on the day, and we meet that day, and that's the whole focus of that day. And if you guys want to meet separately to have a conversation about things separately,
Are we
it's your
talking process only or vetting candidates?
that would be a vetting candidates meeting, the week of the
So can we be
22nd.
very clear
I'm
on what
saying
the
that.
expectation is? Are we allowed to present one candidate, or is the expectation?
The school committee can present what they want to present.
Okay, so it could be as few as one candidate.
It could be as few as one candidate. We're setting that, if that's what the school committee wants to do. I would ask for more candidates to discuss, but obviously, if the school committee wants to do something different, it is within your right to do so. that, but I'm asking for more than one. If there are 3 candidates and you want to propose one, that's fine. But I would ask that we could have an opportunity to speak to all the candidates.
Not to, I don't think we would do this, but in the spirit of reserving rights, we also reserve the right to bring other candidates to a meeting as well. We have that ability. I'm not saying
Yeah.
we should exercise it.
Yeah, well,
If
I think
we're-
we just want to be careful. We want to, I want to be careful we're just not reserving rights, and we
I
have,
completely
like,
agree.
you know, at the end of the day, it's the school committee's seat, and we just need to make sure that we're clear and that what they want is that they can be heard to do that, and that it's understood, and that we understand what they want to do and want to put forward. And is that
Yes.
amenable? So we can schedule it. We'll schedule it that week. We'll close it. Why don't we say we close it on the 22nd at like 4 o'clock? We'll say all applications in by the 22nd at 4 o'clock, and then we'll meet that week. Or do you want it earlier than that? It's okay. You can say.
Yeah, I would suggest sticking with the 18th so that we can try and meet on the 22nd.
Yeah.
I understand
Okay.
there's a lot of like end of school year, like
Yeah,
there's
that's
just
fine.
lots of
I
things
like that.
happening to.
I get you. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. No, I hear you. I was talking more to
Multiple
her.
meetings.
Yeah, he was talking to me.
She's putting her finger in my face, and I'm trying to hear you. I'm trying to hear
It's
you.
just following the thoughts in my head,
I'm
that's
trying to
all.
hear you. You want to do the 18th?
I do. One other thing I want us to consider, looking at how many names we have over there on Zoom, and I'm sure they'll all still be with you at 10 o'clock tonight when you're still here. But we also have a full
You're
house.
very
And one
generous.
thing to consider is perhaps having this in the library where we can allow for more
Sure.
seating, coming in here today and
Yeah.
standing room only in the
Yeah.
hallway. I was thinking this might not be our best format. We've certainly done that before. We
Sure,
did that 11
absolutely.
years ago.
Yes, we could do that.
Please welcome, and maybe we can try and.
I'd say if the 22nd is our scheduled meeting, because we do the 2nd and the 4th Mondays.
Right.
So if we do it on a different day, then yes, we can do that.
Yes, and we'll look
But
into
if-
that and coordinate with them.
We
at
can
school
look
library.
into that and coordinate that. And then, Tina, do you have something to say about
Yeah,
that?
one realization as I'm sitting here is you're joining, new members joining you.
Mm-hmm.
I respectfully would ask that you bring him into the conversation. He's not going to be serving until after July 1st, and so effectively, he's not going to have the opportunity to vote. One might argue one way or the other, that's a thing or not a thing, but I think it's worthy of asking, before we formalize. So what I would say, Ben, is a tentative date. And then you, as a school committee, can have conversations with your new incoming member about how to handle this appointment process. Perhaps there's a strong interest, perhaps there isn't a strong interest, but I think that's a conversation I would ask you to have. And then report back to the select board whether you'd like to move forward for a second appointment in June, knowing that it's a 5-member school committee making that appointment, participating in that appointment process, and not the 6-member committee that you are after tonight, if that makes sense. So just, I'm looking at the July 1st, and I'm looking at the June 22nd dates, and I'm thinking, well, we're missing something here, and it's that overlap. Defer to you and how you decide to handle it.
Yes, and I think probably the way I would recommend that we handle that too is after this Thursday, June 11th, we'll reorganize, there'll be a new chair, and I think the chair of the school committee should reach out to Mr. Keim and talk to him about that, and make sure that he is invited to that meeting as well.
Okay.
But again, I do want to move forward so that we have people, our 3 new members are up to speed and ready to go with the other transitions that are going on.
Okay.
I think there's one additional piece that I did want to address, and I won't take up too much of your time on
That's fine.
process.
Much time as you want.
But I have a little bit of concerns, and I know we talked a little bit about transparency. I think it's really important that if the next set of candidates, the next slate of candidates, if those names come in on the 18th, and especially in light of the fact that we would have a full week too, before hopefully maybe a meeting on the 25th or even the 26th of June.
Okay.
I think we have to decide collectively here together whether we're going to publish those names or not publish those names, because one of the things that I think went awry here is that on June 2nd, we received a letter in support of a candidate, which makes sense to me. If you've ever applied for a job, you get a recommendation letter, and certainly you might share that you've applied for something. But what struck me as odd is within 35 minutes of each other, we got 5 letters against a candidate. And that struck me as odd because I'm not aware, unless you published it somewhere, and you did not, it was just the folks sitting here at this table that were aware that there were 7 candidates. So that information must have been shared with a small group of people, such that there were 5 letters against a candidate. So I think one of the stressors in this is a common understanding that it's either not going to be shared, or I would prefer that it be shared,
Sure.
right? And that we put those names out there.
Okay.
And that way, that seems like fair play. If members of the community want to reach out and write us something, and again, this is not another election. We're not looking for letters from everyone, but it did strike me as unfair that if only a small group
Yep.
would send letters against someone, how did they know that if it wasn't publicly put out there? So can we agree that this information is put out to the public? And
Yes.
I think the best way to do it might be a notice from the town manager.
Yeah, and do we want to say something along the lines of like when the notice comes in on the 18th, because the 19th is a holiday,
Mhm.
so the Friday, so then like on the 22nd, we can have the town manager publish the names of
Well,
it? Is that
if
what
we
you'd like to do?
closed it on the 18th at noon, similar to how we approached it this time,
You wanna do it in that afternoon?
would it give the town manager adequate time that afternoon to put the notice out? And that way you're
Okay.
affording the community
Sure.
that weekend as well.
Yeah.
This needs to be transparent.
No, and absolutely, and I guess I would defer to you, Frank. Is that a reasonable thing that we can do that? So we would just publish the names of the people who have applied for the position.
You don't want the full packets, right?
Well, we would want the full packets,
Oh,
but
I'm sorry,
when
I
it
meant
comes to like a
the-
press release, the press release would just say, here are the names of the people that are being considered for this position.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in
Yeah.
full agreement with that, because the information is a matter of public record anyway.
Yes.
If someone
Yes.
wanted to FOIA that, they could get the names of
Yeah.
anyone. We might as well be transparent from the get and do the right thing.
Yeah.
It does beg the question, because I was similar to you. It was remarkable, the letters that were coming in. I saw a number of letters of support for a particular candidate, and I thought similarly, like, how did folks know? And so it begs the question whether letters of support are considered by the members of the joint appointment process, because if so, perhaps the press release saying that we are looking for candidates, we encourage folks, if they would so choose, to have folks write in letters of support. Because are they considered or are they not considered? That's part of the transparent process, is whether any one of the members at this table would read a letter of support and say, that raises the person in my mind, or it doesn't raise the person in my mind. So perhaps in the press release, again, we state if the candidate so chooses, they can, solicit letters of support from folks in the community and send them through you, Frank, to be disseminated among the two committees.
Yeah, I think as elected officials, we want to always be open to communication, and part of that is between May 28th and June 2nd, and even today, I don't think, other than your office hour right before this, we certainly didn't have coordinated office hours. And we always tell people our emails are available online. Shoot an email to us if you want to talk, you can talk. We'll certainly, I think that in terms of a letter of recommendation, I'm open to reviewing them, and I'm going to give it the weight that it deserves. Do I know them because you're my neighbor and you mowed the grass nicely, or did I work with you on another board and I saw the work you did, and this is what I think of it, right? I mean, I think that we're all professionals here and can weigh those recommendation letters. So I'm open to them, and I think it's a way for a resident to communicate with us.
I think I would say we would always welcome any letters of support.
We'll put that in the press release?
Yeah.
Great, okay.
I think we would always welcome that.
One other question, sorry,
No, it's okay.
process related. Are we, and this is maybe more of a school committee question, but if we're gonna meet independently to meet with candidates, are we gonna have the chance to interview them? Like, what's the candidate's expectation? Because I think there was a little bit confusion this last time where at least I thought I was going to be interviewing candidates, and that never happened. And I think some of the other candidates were also taken aback by that. Is that something that's going to be up for discussion, and will candidates have the opportunity to have a back and forth conversation with the school committee if we're going to be narrowing candidates down?
Right. And I guess I would also ask for the opinions of all of the members, whether you want, in addition to letters of interest and a candidate statement, a back and forth at a school committee meeting in advance of an interview at a joint meeting.
Similarly to what we just did.
My first thought is, it was a year ago that I got on this board. There was not that opportunity, and that was a 3-year seat I was running for. And I think we're looking at a 1-year appointment, and the chance for the candidate back and forth is great. But I think if we look at the way the election is actually run. That opportunity is not really given to any of our candidates going into this. We interview with different, community groups in town, but it's not that back and forth. So I don't really know that we need to. I don't know that we need to. I would be perfectly okay with just getting letters of recommendation, the letters of intent, and having that personal statement for the 1-year appointment.
A little bit of a difference of opinion, Tracy. I think an appointment is different than an election.
Oh, I agree.
Not that an election, their process with the election, that probably could be done better. But we'll leave that for a different conversation. I think with an appointment, because the community members are not voting for an appointment, it gives us the opportunity to be more transparent, the slippery slope is the conversation, right? Like, how much do we, like, tonight actually happened efficiently, effectively, both. It could become something where a candidate is grilled for 20 questions, and you don't want to put that undue stress on them for that.
So the trick there is you have a set of questions and you ask the same questions.
same
of each
questions,
candidate. Because
yes.
kind of like the way I tried to do it as much as,
Yep.
so you asked a question and I made sure that question
I
was
think
out.
if we can do that, it's more fair, because we don't want to put undue.
That's my suggestion.
Well, and the questions would just be coming from the school committee members, not the public.
Well, I guess
Each
not.
of you has a
Is it just us, or is it joint?
Well, you guys can have your own meeting if you want to. The
Oh.
joint meeting would be like, we're
Got it.
scheduling, it sounds like,
Okay.
we're penciling it in for the 25th, but I'm not sure.
So if we
That's
did
what we
one
said.
separately.
It's in
Yeah.
pencil right now, but like we did, we've had other opportunities. I think for like the town manager, when we interviewed the town managers, we each kind of had a question to ask. So like that, I would make that suggestion, is like each of you has a question to ask, and you each ask a candidate the same question, then you can get kind of a
That's
different.
fair.
So that, I mean, you do whatever you want, but that's how what I would
Okay.
suggest to sort
Yeah,
of
because
create
it
that
might
fairness.
happen to work out, it could be a different scenario. So I think
Yeah.
outlining that, and I agree with you, Jess, I think we talked a good amount about process right now. We've got more to talk about, but what's the candidate's expectation?
Sure.
I think laying that out, and what I didn't hear was, we're gonna meet on the week of the 22nd to potentially do the appointment. Are we meeting ahead of time to talk about how we communicate to the candidates what you should expect on that date?
Well, why don't we do, we could do, well, the select board has a meeting on the 22nd. So we could do one of two things here. We could either have, like, a member of the school committee and a member of the select board kind of talk to each other and sort of put something together that we can agree on in one of our meetings. And we could do something like that. Or the other option is that we could invite you to the table on the 22nd to talk about it and set up those parameters. So I would defer what people think is, I'd say the first one's probably the easiest.
Yeah, more efficient.
And probably the easiest is just like, this is the parameters, and then what you do is you do it through, probably we do it through the town manager. That's how we do things, and then the town manager would disseminate it through a blind copy, and then you can say, hey, can we change this, can we do this, and then we
Okay.
kind of, because you can't use like a Google Doc that we can all work on, because that's a violation of the
Are
So-
you thinking you want something different than what happened here tonight?
Not different, but I still don't think it's clear, at least.
He wants it spelled out. You want to spell it out.
Spell
so-
out what we've done tonight, so that
Yeah.
they could be aware of it, versus,
Right.
again, between last week and tonight, like, I know what we did tonight, and I know pieces of last week, but it's hard to put it all together.
Right.
Laying that out to those candidates, they know what's expected of them when they show up.
Okay.
And I did send that email to everybody
Yep.
that said, this is what I'm going to do. And obviously, like, we have to tweak it a little bit because we did change a couple things. I think so we're penciling in for the 25th. We're going to put in we're going to have a press release with that information, and that's going to have the appointment, letters of interest will be solicited through the 18th.
Correct.
At noon. At that time, Frank, all those letters of interest should go to the town manager. The town manager will collect them, and then he will send, obviously, the information that was sent by the candidates to each of the people that are sitting at this table. And then he will send a press release that will indicate these are the names of the people, and that's all that will be in that press release, so that way that those names will be out there and people will understand who's coming. And we would certainly invite people to send letters of interest expressing support for those candidates. And then we could have, I mean, I think we've got a pretty good idea there. Do we want to have like one person who can handle process, kind of like if we want to just like one from each committee to sort of take like what we did tonight and sort of if there needs to be tweaking, and then are people comfortable with doing that?
I'm working from home all next week, so I could
I
theoretically.
suggest Damon on behalf of the board.
Well, I haven't heard from them that Yeah, just,
Um,
I'm making a
would you-
proposal, I want to hear that, if you're
Well,
okay with that.
you reorg tonight, and I think I hear Damon would be your point person. Would you wait until we reorg on Thursday, and whoever our chair is after Thursday can be the
Can reach
point
out to
person
Damon and
with
work through it, and work through that. And then all I would ask is that the result of that just be published to everybody here, so everybody understands what's also
Yes.
coming. And then it could be sent to it could be sent to the people who've sent letters of interest, so they know exactly what to expect. And then the last piece of that too, and then we can move on from this, is that are people okay with working with approval voting at that time? And if you're not, that's fine, or if you want more time to think about it, if we have 2 people, it's
Yeah,
different
it
than
doesn't
if it was,
matter
like,
if
if
it's
you
small.
have 10, you might
Yeah.
want to do approval voting, because you might want to, we certainly understand the point that you don't want people to feel like they're being excluded, or there's anything, that could be considered unfair or anything like that. But also, you could be inviting more contemplation about each candidate if you have a large candidate pool. So, do we want to wait until the chairs talk, or are people interested in?
Wait for the
doing
chair.
something?
I think we need to wait until the chairs talk, and
Absolutely.
I actually think there's nothing to prevent us from convening maybe 30 minutes before we are then going to bring in candidates to speak and nailing it down that as well. Which I like that idea.
Yeah.
Because it would give you the opportunity to make this decision as a board.
Yeah.
You'll meet on June 22nd. It would give us the opportunity, if we so choose, to
Yeah.
meet before the 25th, to make this decision as a board.
Sure.
And come together on it, and no one is.
And I totally respect that as a board. I just the only thing I'd want to make sure is that, like, whatever those decisions are, that we just clearly articulate that to the people who are presenting
Yes.
themselves as candidates, to make sure that they
In
understand
advance.
what to expect from the proceedings.
It may only be 1 to 3 days in advance, but it will be in advance.
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
So, sorry, I'm just still unclear. Are we going to be interviewing candidates prior to the joint meeting?
Yeah, I heard.
Well, I think
I
if
heard.
if we look at the process tonight, it will be an interview style, but not in a true interview. That I think they will do a statement.
Jess, is your question, will there be interviews at the school committee meeting?
Yes.
Yes, and so I think,
So, like, will
to
there-
that response, I think we need to hear from Hillary. And this won't take long, but I
All right,
appreciate
that's
that.
fine, that's fine.
Because
I
it's
did-
an agenda on the.
No, I want to hear. Sure.
So I think I misunderstood your question. I thought, are we individually reaching out to candidates?
Yes.
Which I think would be an unfair burden placed on our candidates to have to talk to each of us individually. But I would agree that an opportunity for the school committee to hear from and ask questions that are provided in advance to candidates with kind of a fair, transparent process would be appropriate and a joint.
And we would just ask for one thing, which is that could be recorded, so that we could see that, so we have an opportunity to just sort of, as we go forward, we could be able to understand what the candidate said too. If we're not invited. I mean, you don't have to invite us, but I'm just saying, if we could just have it recorded so we could see it, that would be my request.
Okay.
Are people, okay? I think we're good. I think we have a good game plan going forward. And I appreciate everybody's patience and at the table and in the public. We're trying. And thank you. I really appreciate everybody. Okay, so,
So is there a motion to adjourn the joint meeting?
well, before you do that, well, I
One more
mean,
thing.
you can, because I mean, the school building committee conversation is
Oh,
coming up.
okay.
And do you want to leave it open with that, or do you want to, maybe you close it and then these two can stay, just so we can
Yes.
Yeah.
chat with the working group, if you're amenable to that. So you can close your meeting if you like.
Is there a motion to adjourn the joint school committee meeting?
I'd like to make a motion to.
Thanks. Second. Okay. Jess?
Yes.
Hillary?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
And Tracy? And Dawn, yes.
Okay, so the school committee meeting is concluded.
Yes.
Okay, so I would, you certainly can stay at the table if you want to, but we'd like to just have a little bit of conversation with the working group if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah.
I know it's almost 9 o'clock, so.
No, it's always-
Only 2 more hours, it's fine.
Don't worry, the skit portion and the dance portion
That's
is not
later.
till a little bit later.
We didn't
so-
agree, that's not on the agenda, Ben. We didn't agree to that process.
No, we didn't do
That's
a vote
other,
on
that's
it.
other business.
That's other business.
Okay, so just a full disclosure here, we have reorganized the select board as our third item on the agenda. We're going to table that till the end of our meeting. I'm going to continue to run the meeting until the end, so Damon gets a
Great
reprieve.
with that. Oh, great.
According to norms, because he is up for election this year, he becomes the chair. So we rotate and I will serve for a year. So, and then I get to be clerk, but you know, that's the fun part, reading everything, and Cortina has to survive with this. Okay, so let's talk about the school building committee. So we want to talk a little bit about the updates to potential change to the charge to the school building committee. So that's the first item on our agenda. Can somebody like just sort of introduce that? Like, what are we discussing here within one of you?
So you will recall that back in April, we voted on the membership and the charge for the school building committee. There was, the working group created a draft of both, as well as a memorandum of understanding. The memorandum of understanding has not been finalized, waiting for the school building committee to be seated with a quorum of voting members and then bring it forward to them. So that's still a working document. But again, back in April, plus or minus a few days, the working group worked through each of our respective boards and committees to, green light, draft, charge, and membership that we then brought back to our respective boards and committees for a vote. You voted, right, to endorse, advance the membership and the charge, and then as a select board, because we formed the charge, we had the authority to vote and put it into motion. So we're here today, is what I'm trying to say, with an approved and also vetted by the school committee membership list and a charge. What is outstanding is the memorandum of understanding, which is intentional, waiting for that school building committee to be seated with a quorum of voting members to finalize among the 3 bodies. So with that said, if you want to present what we discussed at our last working group, or I'm happy to, but it was an item we brought forward.
I know we brought the recommendation, so definitely would be happy to do so. So, yes, we did vet. Yes, we're still aligned on both the charge and membership. An opportunity was brought to us actually through the recruitment of the voting members of an area, a blind spot, I would say, that we had. And that's really representation from the teachers. We have more coverage from a central office perspective, from the statutory roles, significant number of roles. And Jamie Catone applied as a town employee, which we are still aligned, I believe, and I don't want to speak for everyone, that town employees are exempt from being able to vote, just given their status in the town. But we didn't want to lose the opportunity to have a teacher's voice and a strong representative of the teachers to be that voice. So we did want to bring forth, and we will be actually formally voting on Thursday, I believe, done.
Yes.
To bring forth Jamie as the additional non-voting member to represent the teachers on the school building committee.
So that would trigger a change in the charge of membership. So
Okay.
we'd have to reopen that. As a part of that conversation, we talked about options. I couldn't represent my board, and so through Frank, you've all been updated on the options that we discussed. And the 3 options that we discussed were, number 1, that upon a recommendation of the school building committee, they could return to the select board and ask for a change in membership. Number 2, that we could open up the membership list at any point, the 3 of us, without a recommendation from anyone, and change the membership to include a non-voting union representative for the Holliston Federation of Teachers. Number 3, that we could make sure that the memorandum of understanding includes language that directs the school building committee to consider approaching the select board at any point in the future. So there may be decisions that come down the road where they might want the membership to look a little different for any number of reasons. And so the memorandum of understanding could be the method by which the school building committee membership changes. So 3 ways by which: 1, direct action by the select board to open up the membership and change it. 2, to have the school building committee come back with that recommendation. 3, put it into the memorandum of understanding and just let them consider it. So they could be directed, once you get a quorum, we would like you to consider this request by the president of the HFT, the Holliston Federation of Teachers Union, to be a non-voting member of the school building committee. So 3 options, and that's what this board was asked to consider.
I have 2 questions. The first is, I guess, we have, well, it's more of a comment, I guess. The MSBA, I know, they approve the school building committee after it's been seated and the chair is selected. Do I have that correct in
Believe
terms of
so,
timeline?
and that needs to be by July 30th.
Okay, so basically, we gotta get them up and running, and then they get approved by the MSBA to get that going. And we actually have a call on Wednesday,
Yep.
and Frank is going to be on the call to
Which
the
Frank?
school committee. He'll be on that call
Oh,
too.
okay.
This
I think
one. And that
Frank
Frank
too,
too.
yeah.
But
Both
there'll be,
Franks.
there'll be 2
Good,
Franks.
okay.
Yeah, I have to always have the caveat of which Frank I'm talking to
know.
right now. And
Frankly,
my
yeah.
second point here is that what are you recommending us do? Like, what do you think we should
My
do?
recommendation echoes the town manager's recommendation, which is to defer this decision on adding a member, a non-voting member, defer this decision until after the school building committee is seated and the superintendent has their feet solidly on the ground and is up and running. I echo that recommendation. I place no weight on the request itself, but just in terms of process, I believe that we ought to wait. Number 1, I think this board should deliberate further. Number 2, I think the superintendent should be seated and actively working the town and the district. And number 3, I would like to have Frank's input shared candidly with the board in an additional meeting. I think tonight has a full agenda, and perhaps the conversation is best postponed for a future meeting. So that's sort of the way I'm leaning. And I shared that with both Frank and Hillary, that I myself wasn't amenable to us tonight making a vote to change the membership, and that I would seek the town manager's recommendation as well in terms of best practice and how other communities do it. And as the town manager, he'll outlive all of us in terms of the school building committee, so his opinion, you hear that, Frank?
I hope so. I would change the word outlive, but I get what you're saying.
Politically, not politically, in terms of elected roles. So that's what I would suggest, is that we consider it. I'm much more in line with, and I shared this as well, with this process being driven by the memorandum of understanding. I feel like that is a working document that lives and breathes and allows for more conversation and deliberation. That's just my 2 cents. But
The select board has authority over appointing the school building committee, but, and we align with that. It's more of the school committee wants to send a message that we support this. And obviously, it's no bearing on the actions taken.
But the school committee hasn't taken a vote.
We haven't taken a vote yet.
Okay, all
We
right.
will be.
Will be.
Sorry, we
Okay.
will be taking
Okay.
a vote and sharing that message through the vote, to
That's okay.
this board.
Just wanted to-
Good clarification, don't want to create any drama. And through that, I think the message it sends, certainly a school building committee will have full authority to bring their recommendation to the select board for the select board to decide. The message that I feel personally only, speaking from waiting for that, sends a message that they're not at the table at the start. So there sends a message that we're at the point where we can establish that committee now. Why wait? If we already established it came to be, obviously follow the process, right? But we had the opportunity given now, and we should consider it now, is my opinion.
Hillary, what do you think?
I'm in agreement with Frank, and when we originally kind of began meeting to talk about what would the membership look like, looking at what some other districts had done, looking at recommendations from the MSBA, some of our conversations were also around, this is a building that is going to be representing the types of learning that we want to have. And we did have a discussion about, is it important to have somebody who has knowledge of the instructional vision of the high school, or some of the programs that might need special facilities like special education, arts and music, and science. So I think that I really want to return to this conversation. I think that we had a candidate who put her name forward who represents both of those things, as well as representing the teachers for the HFT. And I echo that. I would hope that candidate can start with the full school building committee.
Frank, could I put you on the spot a little bit here. Well, Tina brought you up here, and I just wanted, could you weigh in a little bit, I mean, to what Tina, some of the stuff that Tina had mentioned, if you could just give us, what you found, or like what your 2 cents are.
Yeah, so, I know we've said the word process probably 5,000 times tonight, but for the 5,001st time, my thought, still being relatively new to my role, was if I was coming into this role in a few weeks, a decision like this, I would have liked the opportunity to, and who knows, we might have, again, to use the same phrase, we could have come to the same conclusion. But I think I would have appreciated that opportunity, not to say that Dr. Carter feels one way or the other, but when Tina approached it with me, that was sort of my first instinct. Again, acknowledging that this committee is sort of getting back to full strength, as is the administrative staff at Central Office. So that was the feedback that I had when Tina when Tina asked. Again, I don't think it will have, it may or may not have any impact on the final decision that the SBC, the select board, whoever wants to make. But that was the first thing that jumped to the top of mind.
Well, you can chime in, but the only thing, now you're a member of the public as opposed to...
Absolutely.
So-
And also a member of school committee, I would just offer that if school committee is going to be voting on Thursday on this, we could also offer that Dr. Carter will be coming to Holliston on Thursday for several hours for the
Okay.
interview of the new Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations.
Okay.
And I think it might make sense, Hillary, since you're part of that interview, that you can talk to him about this, and then you can also, share some of his thoughts at our
Okay.
meeting, and we'll take our vote.
Are people comfortable, like, if we go with that route, is it you talk with Dr. Carter and get his feedback on that, just to make sure that he's aware, and then we can take that up once we have that feedback? Are people comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just asked
Great.
that it be the 3 options, so that he
Yeah.
has consideration of deliberation
Sure.
to point to date, rather.
Okay. Okay. Great. And that's the discussion of the change to the charge. That's our updates. Yep.
Correct, yes.
Okay, and then now we're on to the actual skill building committee recommendations here. So we have a large group of people here. My understanding was that you 3 were going to kind of make a recommendation of who.
Is this,
It's only, we're doing half, I'd say, or portion tonight, right?
to be clear, this is now select board deliberation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Well,
we're not
I'm asking
deliberating
you.
on-
I don't know what like.
Yeah, that was the
what is the
intent.
like? Is
Yeah.
this is discussion?
You'll be voting on yours.
That's why
Yeah, like
we
we're-
separated out, just so
Okay.
at the same time.
Well,
like-
I'm also kind of trying to clarify too, because as I understood it, you 3 were going to be vetting the list to sort of make a
Oh, yes,
recommendation.
for sure. But
Yes.
who's at the table right now would be the 3 members of the select board and
Okay.
town manager
Then-
and assistant
then
town.
what
It
do
was
we- what
my,
is the-
not to
yeah.
direct you to say that, but that was the intention in having this as an agenda item, because we would be looking at the appointments that the select board has the authority to make. The school committee rather has their own authority for 2 members, so we defer to
What
their.
I'm asking is because we have 12 names in our packet, and I'm trying to understand
So the list
what I'm
broke
voting
down,
on. What
sure.
are we discussing?
So I presented to you, following a conversation with the working group, I presented to you names that were drawn out for select board consideration. So Frank, you sent that list. So we have Howard Hager and Deb Moore for the 65 and over resident. That was one of our appointments.
So we were choosing between the 2?
Yep. We have 2 who indicated that they qualified or were interested in the 65 and older. And then we had Barbara Ryan, Vanessa Connors, Gordon Cannon, Dan Morrow, Noah Fitch, David Liskowski, John Nunari, Christy Oper, and Luke Apone, can't say that correctly. We had those indicate that they were interested in the position of engineering architect, so resident with engineering, architecture, construction experience. We did not have any candidates who identified themselves as having a legal background. So those were the 3 at-large members, 65 and older, construction, architecture, engineering experience, and legal background or experience. Again, the latter, not having any candidates who expressed an interest or identifying in those. So that leaves us with those names I just read for consideration for appointment to the one at-large membership position of a resident with experience in construction, architecture, or engineering, leaving Maxwell Emery, Andrew Cunin, Jamie Coutone, Chinmaya Goganeni, Vanessa Connors, and Lynn Ratucci for the school committee to consider for their 2 at-large appointments. So we would not discuss, how I envision this, we would not discuss those 5-6 candidates tonight. Does that
Did we
follow?
align on Maxwell?
Yes,
Okay.
well, he was
Clarified.
asked to clarify through Frank
Right.
Gervasio. I'm
Okay.
not sure if he did or not, but.
He did.
Okay.
He's not applying for the 65 plus.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, so what you're saying here is that you want us to go through each one of these candidates to decide which ones we're gonna vote on tonight?
They were presented as such, yes.
Okay.
Consideration.
I guess I didn't, I was under the impression that the working group was gonna make a recommendation for those positions.
I have a recommendation, but I figured our committee, our board would like to go through all members all candidates.
I think we had invited them all to make statements if they'd like to. For those 2 seats, the resident of 65 years of age or older, and those with a construction engineering background.
Ben, in all fairness to you, you saw that the reorganization of the board was agenda item number 3, so you may have lost your focus.
You
as
just
you
gonna
were-
throw that at me?
Yeah.
First
Well,
thing?
I mean,
No
I-
way.
I'll take that.
No way.
To be perfectly fair, I don't know if I want to go through 12 candidates right now. I'm just being honest. I did not know that was what we were going to do.
How about we receive statements of interest and we reconvene, we're meeting on the
I
27th.
would prefer that, that if we could do that. And I'm so sorry to do that, and I misunderstood, and that's on me, and I guess I was distracted. So I would ask that we have a chance to really make that into something that's a little bit more robust, and we can go through it, because I misunderstood, and that's on me, and it's my fault, and I'm sorry.
May I suggest that we clear,
Sorry, I know I'm not really at the table.
No, it's okay. You're still here.
Guess this is a good thing, we separate the process. I think we have on our agenda still done, at least as of right now, may change, like, we are still gonna vote on a recommendation. That's totally fine, because it is separate. but,
Absolutely.
One ask I would have, just to be fair to the candidates, I know it's 2 separate. Frank, I know you've been running the process, but we'd also invite them to make a statement that has not been shared yet for the school committee meeting this Thursday. I just don't want 2 separate processes, but we should keep it similar. I know everything's been flowing through you, so if you don't mind reaching out to the parent educator list to say they're welcome to our school committee
Yes.
to make that statement.
Yeah. So were people told that they?
Yep, so Frank reached out, so we have representation here in the room.
Well, then that's not fair to them. I guess I'll have to take their statements, and that's not fair for me to say something like that. So I'm sorry. I'm
Well,
sorry.
why don't we start by, perhaps, may I suggest we clear the table of the school
Yes.
committee and
Yeah,
let them
no,
move on in their evening and hit the
Thank
reset
you.
button?
Yeah, I think that it would have been, I'm just going to say this for my own, it would have been nice to, I don't know, a general comment, it would have been nice to understand that as part of the agenda, and I guess partially because I was assuming there was reorganizing too, I probably didn't hear it, so
Would you be more comfortable with hearing statements of interest at the opportunity?
why don't we give
to
people
deliberate?
the chance to make statements of interest? They were invited here, and
Yeah.
I don't want to deny them the opportunity to make those
There's no
statements.
obligation to vote tonight, Ben, as long as everyone
Yeah.
understands the process. We
Yeah,
can- we can-
I think it's fair.
it's fine. I think I'm sorry.
Well, no, folks are here, we'll hear them out.
Yeah, if they were invited, I want to give them the chance to make those statements, because that's the fair thing to do, and they were invited to come, and let's make that. Yep. So, yeah, if you could. Yeah, it's
I'm
okay.
just gonna go to the school committee one. You have my name on both lists, but I'm just gonna go to school committee.
Okay.
'cause I
You're going to
follow
take your name
that.
off the
Off of your list, yes.
and your name is
Yep,
Vanessa
okay,
Connors?
thank you, Vanessa.
I'm gonna
Thank you,
remove myself
Vanessa.
From this and go to school committee.
Vanessa, we will take your name
Makes
off the
total
list, and you're
sense.
going to go to the school
One
committee.
comment,
There's a- yeah.
Vanessa, could you put that in writing, please, to Frank?
Just
Just
send him an
say that
email.
you'd like to be reconsidered as.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have me on their list, they just said, so.
Okay, just send that email just to
Oh,
make
yeah,
sure that
you
we
are.
can,
No, you've already
for
worked.
paper, yeah,
Yes.
for
Perfect.
paperwork.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, so let's just go through the list then. Okay,
Would you like me to run point on this, or?
yes. please.
So several folks identified themselves as both parent and resident with experience. And so the work of the working group was to review those candidates with that in mind. Like, they've identified themselves as both a parent
Okay.
and a resident with.
Okay.
And in reviewing that, we saw some names move, okay? So,
Okay.
as example, Vanessa Connors identified as both. So
Okay.
who we have for consideration for, we'll start first with the 65 and older. A resident who is Howard Hager and Deborah Moore. May I suggest that we ask for statements, if they would like, of those two individuals?
Sure.
Because we can make that one
Yep.
motion if the board feels ready
Okay.
to do that.
Okay. Is Howard?
Frank
Howard?
did notify everybody that
That's
they had
fine.
that opportunity.
Howard Hager, are you on the call?
He sent me a written statement in the case he was not able to make it.
Okay, if you want to read that. that
Sure.
would be-
So this is from Howard Hager. I'm a resident and have been on a town committee before. I was active in town meetings in the past. I've been here as a resident since the mid-'80s, coming from Millis and Long Island, New York before that. My background is in technology and some areas of construction. I was involved in the Holliston schools several years back. With the school business manager and I brought LED energy technology and cost savings, LED lights to the schools. It started with the high school auditorium. It was lit with ceiling bulbs that looked like they came from my old 55 Chevy. The conversion replaced the bulbs and saved a lot of money. The new lights were much brighter, and I had to cut the light controls back to 70%, as it was too bright. It showed the flaws in the walls and how bad the carpets were too. After that, plug-and-play LED bulbs were put into all the schools, saving more costs annually. We also considered other saving technologies in heating and cooling, thinking how a new high school could work with better technology. One thought was using technology that could be plugged into the present high school and switched over to a newly constructed replacement building with making heat, cooling, and power. We looked at solar too. It had some problems, plus only provided power during daylight, so battery banks would be needed. My background includes designing and installing several major satellite systems for communications for very large dish antennas. I did the NASA Space Shuttle arrays for White Sands, NM to TDRSS and Merritt Island stations. At a point later, I purchased from AT&T its Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands operations. I was sole owner-driven years. It was the largest telecom in the islands. I retired for a year and then was involved in green energy and energy technologies. I am retired now, so there are no conflicts of interest, just a lot of knowledge and technology in the town. We moved here in early '80s, and my children graduated Holliston schools. My daughter owns a jewelry store in town and has been working in the town for over a decade. Her daughter went through the Holliston schools several years and now has been at Keefe Tech the last 3 years. I am familiar with the kids' complaints about the present school building's problems. I would like to see the new high school be the most comfortable for faculty and students, while also save the town money. In case I don't make the meeting, consider this my written statement. I hope I can be on the committee and help the town in its efforts. Howard Hager.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And I know we have Deb Moore here, if you want to come up and... Deb, welcome. Thank you for coming in this evening and being patient with me.
Deb Moore, 183 Mill Street. I'm here to express my interest in serving on the school building committee as a 65-plus community representative. As a longtime resident of this community, which is now 51 years, and a senior citizen, I have had the privilege of watching our town grow and change through those years. Throughout that time, I have seen firsthand how important strong schools are to the success of our community. Even though I no longer have a child in the school system, my son attended our schools from K through 12, and I realized that was the launching pad for his success. I was a weekly reading volunteer in the classroom and also served on the middle school parents committee and PTA. During that time, the schools went through new building and renovation projects, and I saw firsthand many of the challenges that were faced. I remain deeply invested in the future of our town and the opportunities available to the next generation. I believe I can be a valuable perspective to the committee. My years of experience in the community have given me an understanding of both our history and our values in Holliston. I initiated the grassroots movement for the town to purchase the 183-acre Pinecrest Golf Course in 1986, and I've had the privilege to serve as chair of the committee for almost 40 years. We have undertaken many capital improvements, especially the building project of the clubhouse, restaurant, and maintenance facility, and stayed fiscally responsible. This has given me the opportunity, working with the committee, to take a project from meager beginnings to the success the town is experiencing today at Pinecrest. That experience provided valuable insight into the planning, design, construction, and oversight required to successfully complete a municipal building project. In doing this, I have worked with many different select boards and finance committees, town departments, and town employees. I understand the importance of collaborative work, respectful listening, and communication. If I serve on this committee, I will recognize the importance of creating a school facility that meets educational needs while also being mindful of taxpayers and the long-term financial responsibilities of the town. I have developed a deep appreciation for the importance of thoughtful planning and responsible investment in public facilities. That experience provided firsthand knowledge of the planning, design, construction, and financial oversight involved in a municipal building project and ongoing capital improvements. Along with my community service over the past 40 years, my professional background has been a perioperative nurse educator and a nurse manager of perioperative services that included operating room, PACU, surgical daycare, and pre-admission testing. My career as a nurse educator and perioperative manager has required leadership, strategic planning, collaboration, budgeting, problem solving, and attention to detail, skills that are essential when overseeing a complex building project. Throughout my career, I have worked with diverse groups of professionals to achieve common goals while maintaining a strong focus on quality, safety, and accountability. In addition, I currently serve on the board of directors of the Claflin Hill Symphony Orchestra. Through that role, I have come to appreciate even more deeply the value of arts education and the important role of music, creativity, and the arts play in developing well-rounded students. As we plan for a new school, I believe it is important to create spaces that support not only academic achievement, but also the arts, which enrich students' lives and strengthen our community. As a senior citizen, I offer a long-term perspective and a strong commitment to ensuring this project serves both current students and future generations. I bring a broad perspective and a strong commitment to preserving what makes Holliston special while preparing for the future. I understand that a new school or a renovation project is a significant investment for taxpayers, and I believe it is essential to create a facility that is educationally effective, fiscally responsible, and built to serve generations of students. I understand that this project represents one of the most significant investments a community can make, and I believe it is essential to balance educational needs with fiscal responsibility. If appointed, I will approach this role with an open mind, a willingness to listen, and a commitment to working collaboratively with fellow committee members, town officials, school officials, and residents. I would take seriously the responsibility of helping guide that process. My goal would be to help ensure that we build or renovate a school that is safe, functional, fiscally responsible, and capable of serving students and the community well into the future. Thank you for your consideration. I'd be honored to serve on the school building committee and help create a learning environment that provides future students with the same strong foundation that helped launch the success of so many others in Holliston and will benefit our town for decades to come. Thank you. Thank you, Deb.
Thank you, Deb. Okay. Let's continue to go through the additional applications. I'm just going to go in the list,
Sure.
in order the list that you sent over.
Okay.
So next we have Barbara Ryan. Don't worry, we won't make you do the dance routine, given your,
doing better.
just make sure you
More close up.
pull the microphone over towards you.
Barbara Ryan, 14 Irving Place. Good evening, Select Board Chair and members. again, our town manager and assistant town manager, neighbors, and friends. Thank you for considering my application for the school building committee. I'm a Holliston parent, an Army veteran, pediatric nurse practitioner, and a retired healthcare executive. I'm interested in serving on this committee because I care deeply about the future of education in Holliston and, frankly, our country, and I believe I can contribute meaningful experience to this important project. Throughout my career, I have worked on large, complex initiatives that required balancing budgets, timelines, regulations, stakeholder interests, and community needs. During the base realignment and closure, or BRAC process, for the former Walter Reed Army Medical Center, that included building the Fort Belvoir Community Hospital and what is now known as Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, I worked closely with military leaders, federal officials, employees, and community stakeholders through a project that ultimately exceeded $1 billion in scope that involved congressional approval and oversight. My role focused heavily on relationship building, problem solving, communications, and always ensuring that the voices of those affected by this large project were heard and understood. I'm proud that I was part of building these facilities that continue to serve our service members and their families. Also in my Army career, while I stationed in South Korea, I led a multi-million-dollar renovation and modernization project for a 32,000 square foot medical facility I commanded. The project required us to renovate and bring the building into compliance with U.S. standards for healthcare facilities while working within the constraints of a foreign country, a fixed budget, aging infrastructure, and complex logistical, administrative, and political requirements. All of this while operating and keeping functional this facility that provided around-the-clock healthcare services that included an urgent care, primary care, pharmacy, ambulance, and aeromedical support, and public health, environmental, optometry, and hearing services for the 2nd Infantry Division, which was about 10,000 soldiers. The facility functioned much like a small community hospital while emergency department while construction was underway. There were multiple stakeholders again that included senior military leaders on the peninsula, competing priorities, significant coordination, and constraints among stakeholders. Through collaboration, persistence, constant communication, and a focus on solutions, we completed, which was said it would never be done, successfully in 8 months. These experiences taught me that successful building projects are not just about bricks and mortar. They are about people. They require transparency, thoughtful planning, respectful dialogue, and a willingness to ask good questions while keeping the long-term view front and center. In both my military and civilian careers, I've learned that large public projects succeed when people ultimately affected by the decisions have confidence in that process. As a Holliston parent, I bring another important perspective. I've been actively engaged in the PTO, which I was the executive board lead for 2 years, the Drug and Alcohol Coalition as a public health communicator and parent, the Outdoor Learning Alliance, where a band of dedicated volunteers have successfully revitalize the outdoor spaces at each of our schools that students and teachers use alike, and by attending school committee meetings and providing my concerns about the future of education. I've spoken about emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, future workforce needs, and the importance of designing learning environments that prepare students not only for today, but for decades ahead. I believe we should think creatively about how a new high school can serve students while always also functioning as a valuable asset for the community at large. If selected, I will come prepared to listen, to collaborate, ask thoughtful questions, and work hard on behalf of the entire community. My goal would be to help ensure Holliston delivers a project that is educationally sound, fiscally responsible, and positioned to serve students and residents for generations to come. I know how to get things done, but more importantly, I know how to bring people together to get things done. I would be honored to serve Holliston in this capacity. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So as we go now through the list, Vanessa said she's going to talk to the schools. Next we have Jordan Cannon. Jordan, I think I see you on the Zoom. Are you prepared to make a statement? Hi, Jordan. You wanna sort of introduce yourself and give us any statement you want to make about the school building committee, about joining the school building committee?
Yeah, Jordan Cannon, 21 Walnut Road. Actually trying to pull up here on my phone. My son or Frank. Okay. There we go. All right. I am submitting this statement to express my interest in and qualifications for serving on the school building committee. First, I would like to thank the many volunteers who dedicate their time and energy to our community. I regularly attend committee meetings and, when I am unable to attend, listen to the recordings. I am continually impressed by the level of commitment and hard work that our volunteers contribute to improving our town. My family and I moved to Holliston in May of 23, and we now have 3 young boys, the oldest of whom will be entering the Holliston public school system next year. The strength of the school system and the sense of community were major factors in our decision to move here. As both a construction professional and a parent with a vested interest in the future of our schools, I am excited by the opportunity to contribute to this important project. By way of background, I hold a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and a master's in civil engineering with a concentration in structural engineering. I began my career on the design side of the industry before transitioning into construction management. I spent 5 years in Connecticut with Skansky USA Building before moving to the Boston area, where I had brief stints at Hanover and Delbrook, and the last 9 years I have been working with Walsh Brothers out of Boston, most recently serving as a project executive. My experience spans academic, healthcare, commercial, and residential construction. Over the last 5 to 6 years, I have primarily focused on academic projects, particularly in the higher education market. This work has included numerous public projects, including agencies such as MSBA, DCAM, MSCBA, and UMBA. In my current role, I oversee multiple client campuses and projects in various stages, including feasibility studies, pre-construction, and active construction. I am also heavily involved in project pursuits, budgeting, scheduling, and RFP responses. Every construction project presents unique challenges, but a high school building project is particularly complex. The committee will need to balance current and future educational needs, site constraints, community input, and the requirements of the MSBA funding process. At the same time, the project must navigate an evolving construction market, including fluctuating material costs and subcontractor availability. Successful project oversight requires the ability to understand and evaluate budgets, schedules, and technical documentation, as well as effectively communicate complex information to a broad range of stakeholders. For these reasons, it is important that the school building committee consists of individuals with diverse backgrounds and expertise. I believe my experience in engineering, construction management, budgeting, scheduling, and project execution would provide valuable perspective throughout the planning and delivery process. A significant portion of my professional responsibilities involves working with clients, designers, and project teams during the earliest phases of the project to establish scope, budget, and schedule parameters that support successful outcomes. I believe this experience would allow me to make meaningful contributions to the committee as it guides this project from planning through completion. Thank you for your consideration. I would welcome the opportunity to serve on the school building committee and help ensure the successful delivery of a project that will benefit Holliston students, families, and residents for generations to come. Thank you.
Jordan, thank you very much for your statement. I appreciate it. Next up, we have Dan Morrow. Is Dan here? Dan, if you do hear this and you're not on the line, if you could just, you might have sent some information, but if you have a statement that you want to make and you want to send it to the select board, please do so at your convenience before our next meeting. I think our expectation is tonight we would review these, hear from everybody, and then we would have a chance to deliberate and think about it. So apologies, Dan, if you were on earlier and we missed you. So we'll move on to the next person, and that is Noah Fitch. Is Noah Fitch here? Doesn't sound like it. All right. And I think the people that are missing, Frank, if we could just kind of send them a note and say if they wanted to add anything additional, so they can make a statement kind of the way Howard did, and they can send an email and say, hey, here's my statement, and they can send it to us via email and before our next meeting. David Liskowski, I think I saw you up there. Dave, are you? Good evening, Dave.
Yep, I'm here.
Thank you for your patience this evening. Would you like to just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your interest in the school building committee, please?
Of course. So Dave Liskowski, 8 Tea Party Lane. Thank you for having me. I am a construction executive. I've been in the business for over 20 years, BS in construction management. I have been working for the same company out of Boston my entire career. And my experience ranges from everything from commercial to higher education to elementary schools. Most recently, I am a project executive and director of a regional line that really manages about $1 billion a year. Locally, my experience focuses on project pursuits, constructability, contract negotiations, change order negotiations, closeout, and client relations. I have a very broad network in the Massachusetts and greater New England region on both subcontractors, architect and design firms, OPM firms, and frankly owners as well. I think my experience would really bring a sense of risk management and foresight into the risk that comes with taking on a project this size. My experience says that projects that aren't properly planned out and thought through bring a very, very high level of risk financially to a town or to an owner. If they're not thinking through potential misses or risks throughout the planning process. So that's what my focus would be on in the committee. I would leave the thoughts on education to the professionals that work in that region or that profession. My experience is really mainly to help mitigate the risk of a project this size for this town. Thank you for having me. I'll keep it short and give it back to you.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate your time this evening,
Thank you.
and thank you for your patience. I know it's getting late.
Yep.
All right, moving on to the next person, we have John Nunari. John, welcome. Come on up. I'll say it to you too. Thank you for being patient this evening. Really appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. John Nunnery, 11 Fruit Street. I don't have a prepared statement necessarily, but I thought I would talk a little bit about who I am, what my experience is professionally, a little bit about MSBA, and a little bit about the project that you're contemplating or that the town is contemplating. So I moved to Massachusetts in 1995. And came here to finish my degree at the Boston Architectural Center. So I am trained as an architect with a degree in architecture. Because of the Boston Architectural Center, you have to work and study at the same time. So I started working at HMFH Architects in Cambridge, a firm that specializes in the design and construction of public schools. I was there for 15 years and involved personally in the design or construction of schools in Chelsea, Boston, Brockton, Wellesley, Fairhaven, and where am I forgetting? There's another town that I'm forgetting, but there was another town in there somewhere that I'm forgetting. But I was involved in the design and construction of quite a few public schools in Massachusetts. While I was there, I was also heavily involved in my professional society, the American Institute of Architects, and got involved with the advocacy efforts of architects. And through that effort, ended up becoming the chair of their efforts and eventually got to the point where I am now the executive director of the state organization of the American Institute of Architects, where my sole job is advocacy. The only thing I do is legislative and regulatory policy work on behalf of architects. Because of that work in the late 90s, I was involved with the Senate and involved with the actual creation of MSBA as we know it. So in my early career at HMFH, I designed and built buildings under the old MSBA program prior to the 2000s or 2004 when it reopened. And I was involved with the construction and design of schools after it was opened. I currently serve as AI's representative on their technical advisory committee. I was appointed by Catherine Craven, the initial ED of the MSBA, and was reappointed by Jack McCarthy and Mary Piketty. MSBA is currently an interesting program. If you are following it all, you may know that the Senate passed as part of its budget a complete study to really relook at the program after 25 years. And that's something my organization very much was a part of asking the legislature to do, and we work specifically with Senator, not Senator Kennedy, but senator from Winchester, whose name is escaping me at the moment, who did the bill. And that could have an effect, quite frankly, on this project, depending on how that study ends up playing itself out, and assuming it makes it through the Senate budget negotiations. I did want to talk a little bit about what you're proposing and what the town is proposing. I was just doing a little bit of back of envelope calculations of what you might be looking at, and I wasn't sure whether you've heard any of these numbers yet or thought about this, but I did want to provide a little bit of context. So your current high school, or the current high school, is at 220,000 square feet. You have 877 students. You're probably aware that through the feasibility study, you'll end up doing a enrollment projection. Right now, the state, we're seeing declines. But let's just assume for the moment that you build another 220,000 square foot building. Right now, MSBA is projecting high school costs at about $1,000 a square foot. That puts you at about $220 million for your school. Add in your soft costs, about 25 to 30%, depending on how you want to work with your OPM and how you want to budget. That puts you at a total project of about $275 million to $286 million. I've seen that the town is expecting a MSBA reimbursement of approximately 50%. I think you know that that is not the number you will actually get. Even if you qualify for 50, your effective rate will be probably closer to 40. So with the numbers that I just offered you, you'd be looking at the town share of anywhere from $165 million to $171 million, just to give you some context. If you really break down the numbers and you look at it, we don't know whether your school is going to be bigger or smaller. But a good rule of thumb to figure is for about every 10,000 square feet, you're looking at about 7.5 million. So if you're at 220, you want to go up, add 7.5 million for every 10,000 square feet. And you've got a good rule of thumb for how you're working. Last thing that I really want to touch on was some of my volunteer work, which was prior to moving to Holliston, I lived in Medfield. And while I was in Medfield, I was the chair of the town's permanent building committee. I vice chaired the DPW facility, which was about an $8 million project. I attended every single construction meeting, every design meeting, because I live in town and I work from my home. I was able to attend every meeting, and we brought that project in on time and on budget. I then chaired the public safety facility, which was a $13 million joint public safety fire police, another project we brought in on time budget and on budget. As we were a permanent building committee, we worked with the town select board and all the various committees to actually put in place a pecking order in the town, so that the town agreed that at that point in time, DPW would go first, police fire would go next, schools, and then park and rec. And that took quite a few meetings with the town to get them to agree with that, to get the selectmen to agree with it, and to get everyone else to agree. So I'm quite familiar through 15 years of designing and building public schools with the town meeting and school committee meeting process, and through my volunteer work and actually building and bringing in projects on time, on budget. With that, I know there's a few more folks you want to talk to, and I do want to put in a personal plug. Even if I'm not selected, I see you have Christine Opper here, who I think is coming after me, and she would also be a wonderful addition to your group.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Appreciate your time tonight and your patience. So, Christy Opper, if you'd like to come on up, and your name precedes you since you've been pre-introduced.
No,
so.
I was going to say the exact same thing, actually. So you stole my thunder.
Okay.
I don't have a prepared statement.
Okay.
My name is Christina. My nickname is Christy Opper, 495 Central Street. I'm a newer resident to Holliston. I've been here for about 5 years. I lived just across the border in Milford for about 8 years prior. My sister has been a longtime resident here, and I have a niece that's going through the school system. And unfortunately, we'll probably have to live through high school construction. But my background is that I've been in the OPM industry for over 20 years. I worked for Daedalus Projects, which was acquired by CHA, and my main role there was assistant project manager, client relations manager. In fact, my team worked with John in Medfield on preschool projects, including his very successful public safety building. He's excellent. If you don't like me or anybody else, I would highly recommend John. My background is from the owner's perspective, and I'm very excited that as many people put in their interest as they did, because putting these committees together is very complicated and very difficult. I probably worked on more than $700 million worth of school projects through the MSBA process. I also worked with the original SBA prior to the formal MSBA. This process is a lot cleaner than the original version. They have their quirks, but I'm really familiar with how to get an OPM on board, how the designer selection panel works, what you should be looking for, and how to build the right team. And then my job as an owner's rep was really not just helping to lead the owner through the process, but help build consensus. I focused on helping communities communicate with their communities, with their townspeople, with their boards, with their committees, because the only way this is going to be successful is if everyone is in agreement. And I want this to be successful for our town. My son is grown and not in school anymore, so I don't have any skin in the game here. But I want to see us take advantage of this opportunity. I worked with the town of Tisbury, who went through a really difficult process and lost their MSBA funding because their town couldn't agree on what option. They had an opportunity to build a $30 million high school with $14 million worth of reimbursement. And when they lost that opportunity and came back and did it themselves, it cost them $90 million. The most recent high school project that I worked on was Nauset Regional High School, which is very complicated because it was a regional high school and you had to get consensus from 4 different communities on location, size, educational programming, architectural design, all of it. And we got it. And it's going to be completed next year. I think consensus is something that's very difficult to get. But if you put the right work into it, you can get it. And it's worth it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the MSBA, but they get their money by taking 1 penny of every dollar of sales tax that's collected across the state. So all of us as residents, everybody that visits our state, everybody that buys something here pays for these schools. And we might as well take advantage of that funding and help us get a really great educational program for our kids. Again, it's not me, choose John. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate your
And good luck with
patience.
the project.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we have one more, which is we have Luke Apone. Luke, are you here? Doesn't sound like Luke is here. Okay, so we had Dan, Noah, and Luke that didn't appear to not be here. Could we just reach out to them and say, hey, could they provide statements, and we could do something? My feeling tonight is that we take a little time to think about it. We can do approval voting. I think we should have to do that with this particular case because this will be difficult to. There's you know, what I heard was a lot of high quality candidates. So I think probably approval voting might be a good approach to this to be able to kind of start to narrow things down. So I really appreciate people's patience in coming here and talking to us, giving us your statements and your understanding. And so what we'll do is we're gonna there's a couple people who weren't able to be here. Maybe it was too long, I'm not sure, so they're gonna submit statements. And then we'll vote and deliberate at our next meeting, which will be the 22nd. I don't expect that we'd have follow-up questions, but I just really want to say thank you for your patience, and I really appreciate you coming to chat with us, and you give us a difficult decision, because there's a lot of really highly qualified and very experienced individuals in this process, so I'm grateful that you made the time and decided to raise your hand to come forward, so thank you for doing that. Are you guys comfortable?
One question for really the two of you, the idea of follow-up questions. Now that the candidates have all been introduced, we've had the opportunity to hear from them. It feels in line with a good process to be able to contact them individually, but I won't do that unless, because you might have a follow-up question, and reaching out to one or two candidates, or all of them for that matter, with a question from a board member feels appropriate, given that we've had this initial introduction and review. But I really want to hear your ideas before
I'm okay with asking the questions. What I would just ask is that in some way, even through the town manager, that the answers were shared.
Sure.
That's the only thing I would ask for in that, along that line. Is that?
I'm fine with that. Are you suggesting we reach out individually, or should we funnel all questions through Frank and we could do a single point of contact? I'm good either
That
way.
probably would be the best, is maybe to try to do it that way, and
Sure.
that could be the easiest way to disseminate information. Frank, I don't want to put extra administrative burden
It's
on you to
totally
do
fine
that,
with
but maybe we do it that way. So if you have any questions, follow up, we go through Frank, and then Frank, you follow up with those.
BCCO.
And then we have a couple weeks, so we have a little bit of time here.
I may not have any questions, but we've heard a lot, and we have
Yeah,
some
I
very
gotta
strong
really gotta go
candidates.
through, and there's some pretty incredible people here that are far smarter than me about things. So I want to make sure that I understand and do some homework here to make sure that I understand
Okay, all right.
what the right thing to do here is.
I will do that then. If I have any questions, I'll run them through Frank.
Yep. And Frank will run it through them, and you'll also contact the
Okay.
three candidates that we weren't able to hear from this evening. So
Okay,
I just
that
sent them a
sounds good.
follow-up.
Sounds good. Okay, great, thank you. All right, so, continuing the public hearing, voting on a parking ban. Parkers are still here. We appreciate you both being so patient. We had talked several occasions about a possible parking ban with resident concerns regarding student parking on Mark Tree Road, Robin Hill Road, and Greenview Road. And we heard from the police chief, who has basically said to us, like, I think the recommendation is 9 to 3 on Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday.
I was hoping that we could say 9 to 3 on school days, if that is possible, because I think, I think that would probably make the most sense, because it seems like it's a little bit like, 180 days is certainly significant, but that's, there's a lot of other days there, and I don't want to put, if there's any way that we can add a little flexibility to that, I would be amenable to that, but I'm interested to hear what you both think. I probably, the folks, the Parkers, I would, because it is a public hearing, I will open it up, and I know Lori's here too, that if there's other comments from you folks, you certainly can make other comments, but maybe we'll just do it that way. I apologize, it's afternoon, my brain's a little fried. So since this is a public hearing, I think the first thing we'll do, and if you're both okay with it, I'll just open it up to see if there's any other additional comments beyond what we had talked about previously. What I'm proposing, we haven't discussed it, but what I'm proposing is we would put up signs that ban parking from 9 to 3 on school days on those 3 roads. That's what I'm proposing. And, that's, I think that based on the conversations we had previously, it seemed like that was kind of the route that people wanted to go. But I am interested to hear if folks, I know there might be some on the Zoom, if anyone has comments and would like to make comments and come forward for public comments on the public hearing about the parking, student parking on Mark Tree Road, Robin Hill Road, or Greenview Road, if they could raise their hands on Zoom, or did you want to make any statements, or you just wanted to listen in to the conversations? If you want to come up, and you're welcome to if you would like to. Good evening.
Hi.
Just name and address. So we know who you are, but also
Right.
for
Jonathan Parker, 290 Mark Tree Road. So, a couple of things that have come up in the other meetings. There were some neighbors that suggested a different window that might be a good compromise and serve the purpose, which is something like 7 to 11. The other thing that came up was Tina mentioned, whatever we do, we're considering it to be a pilot. And given that, then, I mean, personally, I'm okay with the 9 to 3.
Okay.
But after hearing some of my neighbors talking about it, then maybe something like the, the 7 to 10 or 7 to 11 might accomplish what.
Well, one of the things you had brought up is somebody had said about the lunchtime, and I
Yes,
just kind of
I
wanted,
did
like,
bring that up.
was something that really stuck in my head, and I'm just curious, like, what do you think? Because you really struck me when you said, hey, lunchtime is something we need to think about, so maybe we do want to extend it further. So I kind of wanted you to elaborate a little bit.
I still think that that's a possibility, but that just brings me back to the, if it's a pilot, then maybe if it turns out that they're coming in, after lunch, swarming into the neighborhood. So I guess I'm still in favor of 9 to 3.
Okay.
But I just wanted to bring that up only because, I mean, I guess people, if they're still on the line, they can.
Yeah, I think I see two hands raised. I think.
Yeah.
I guess the question then would be along the lines of the pilot is, Frank, if we said, 7 to 11. I mean, I would assume we would buy signs that say 7 to 11 on it.
You put up a temporary parking ban.
Or could we put up temporary and kind of see how it goes? I mean, the thing that's a little tricky here, too, is that we could say 7 to 11, and it's, I mean, it sounds like some activity in the fall, but it's really in the springtime when things really start to heat up a little bit.
Yeah, this year there was a fairly steady rise in the number of cars through the fall.
Yeah.
Nothing in the winter, and then in spring it just exploded.
Okay. Was it problematic in the fall as well, or was it just like we talk about like 30 to 40 cars in the spring,
right?
But was it like 10? Or
Yeah,
just like
it was
a couple
around that. It was like 5 to 10 in the fall.
Disruptive, but not the problem that we were seeing in the
Right.
spring.
A call for speculation. So the 7 to 11 or 7 to 10 proposal, I was warming up to that too, but I'm not sure about it. But I think let me give you what I think the logic is.
Yeah.
And you tell me back if I've got it right. So
Sure.
if you're banning it in the morning pre-lunch, that's likely to have the same effect as banning it all day because not all the students would be able to go home to get their car and come back at lunch. That basically, if you're just doing a morning ban, that effectively knocks the legs out for the whole day because who's going to what percentage of students are within walking distance to go fetch their car, which is probably fairly low, and they probably wouldn't be doing that on their lunch. Is that kind of
That's the
my-
theory.
Okay, that's
So
the theory.
effectively, yeah, it would ban it for the day.
Right.
When I brought up my concern about that, knowing how creative some of these kids can be,
Yeah.
they might be parking in the morning, like with their fingers crossed, parking somewhere else where they're taking their chances, and then saying, hey, we can come back here after lunch, because we do know for a fact that many of them take off at lunch.
I mean, the other
'Cause
thing is, too,
we
is I
see them
think-
tearing down the road and tearing back again.
But if they have limited time for lunch and it's going to take them 10 minutes to walk to their car because it's further away, that it might preclude them from being able to do it in the first place.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a theory.
But, yeah, right, but we don't know where they're gonna, again, they're creative, we don't know where
We
they're
don't know
gonna
where they're
park.
going to go, and we might be moving a problem, and
Yeah.
that's inevitably part of the risk that we take by doing this.
Right.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
yeah, the one thing we can say is that they do, throughout the lunch period, I guess it goes over several blocks or whatever, several, that they are. Part of the problem, ironically, is that because they don't have very much time,
They drive fast.
they're really tearing down the road, even if some of them aren't even flying in the morning, they're definitely flying at lunch.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
all right, so just a thought, but
Okay.
for the record, I'm still in favor of 9 to 3.
Okay, but you're open to a 7 to 11 as a possibility.
Yeah, just
Okay.
in the interest of trying to
Understood.
See all
I'd
sides.
be interested to sort of see with some of
Yeah.
the other people who raised their hands or thinking.
Right, okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bill Chasen, if you could unmute yourself, just name and address and what your comments are about this, the discussion about the parking here in that neighborhood.
Sure, Bill Chasen, 310 Murray Road. To say I was one of those 7 to 11 people, but now I am full blast, 7 to 3. Let's go.
Whoa, okay.
You don't have to talk about it anymore. Let's do it. I do fear that, there may be people parking on the street because they don't want to try to get out of the parking lot, but I think 7 to 3 is the way to go.
Okay.
One other thing that I saw the video of the school committee meeting, that you had given them a heads up about this. And
Yes.
someone made comment about having the police maybe help with getting out of the parking lot. I think that's really complicated because they can wave people out of the parking lot. We've got the 6-way stop sign
Yeah.
up at Hollis Street.
Yep.
I mean, that's a problem. But one suggestion that you may want to look at to help and maybe be fair to the kids that are driving to school that don't have parking spaces, there may be space over at the high school. There may be space to add some parking spaces over by the football field, close to Hollis Street. There's some nice flat grass area over there that you may be able to add, I don't know, 3 or 4 rows of parking to get dirty cars in. But I don't want to derail anything we're talking
Yeah.
about. 7 to 3, let's go. We're all on board. And
yeah.
thanks for all the work you've been doing on it. I know it's taken us a while, but we have our neighborhood back right now, right?
Oh, good,
I mean,
okay.
You can ask. It's beautiful, right? No one's parked on the street since the seniors graduated, so.
No, that's good.
That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Just to qualify there, I know the police chief in his recommendation did indicate to the schools that there could be some opportunities, but at the end of the day, we don't have any authority over school grounds. So we would have to defer to them. We could certainly make the recommendation as like, are there any opportunities to add parking?
Sure.
But at the end of the day, they would have to do so, and we would have to correct that recommendation. So, but I appreciate the idea.
I like the school day. I like the school days phrasing. I think that's.
Yeah, I think that's I mean, that's my own personal opinion. We haven't debated it, but I wanted to throw it out there just to see if there's ways that we can sort of tackle the problem with minimizing disruption, if at all possible.
Yeah. Because I'll tell you one other thing.
Sure.
During the carnival, people park on the street during the carnival. That's not a problem. Jonathan, I don't think that's a problem for me anyway. I guess I don't know if they go during the day, but anyway, I like the school days.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill. I see Adriano. If you could unmute yourself, name and address, and your comments, please.
Sure. My name is Adriano Stalco. I live at 270 Montreal Road. I really appreciate everything you guys do with the select board. I don't want to be any more of these meetings. I got enough on my plate.
Yep.
10 o'clock at night's too late for everyone. I'm all 7 to 11. Not 7 to 11. No, 7 to 3. Jeez. Sorry. 7 to 3. Let's just be done with it. There's no half measures needed here. I don't want to be back here in a year and a half saying these kids are still screwing down the road. Someone left the high school parking lot for lunch, came by, parked in front of my house, drove traffic to the ground, going 40 down the street off running me over.
Okay.
I don't have the conversation again. Sorry, thank you very much for everything you guys did. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. Our intention is to make a decision tonight on what to do to go forward. So I appreciate your patience with that. Are there any other public comments? Laurie, come on up and just give us name and address and your comments, please.
Laurie Markoff, 280 Mark Tree Road. We now have a trifecta. 3 of us in a row. So I'm just going to ask you to do as little as you can. And the reason is my husband sees clients in my house, and his clients park on the street. And I don't know what I'm going to do about this. So there's that problem. So I hear the other concerns, and I like the idea of a temporary parking ban that happens during the times that it's most active, as opposed to, something that shuts out all the days. So, yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to like make trouble because I'd like as little as possible, and I like the idea of a pilot, but yeah, whatever happens is going to inconvenience me.
I know, and that's the hard part, but thank you, Larry, appreciate it. Okay. Any other, oh, sure, Lois, come on up.
Thank you.
I know that we've done a lot of these when I know you by name.
I know.
from this.
It's a bad sign. I'm Lois Parker, 290 Mark Tree Road. Just want to go on record as saying that I endorse the 9 to 3 or whatever hours we pick while school is in session. While I'm sympathetic to Lori's situation, I don't know where the clients would park now under the current situation because the students are taking up all of the on-street parking spaces. And then, to Tina's point at the prior meeting that it's not really anyone's job to make it easier to provide ways for students to drive to school. I think that's just worth keeping in mind.
Because of active transportation, not because students shouldn't be driving to school,
Right,
but to
right.
promote walking and biking
Exactly.
and public transportation.
And I know it's a very different situation, but just as an interesting point as we wrap up, I mentioned to Frank before the meeting that I spent much of the weekend at my alma mater, Brookline High, where if I told you how many years ago it was, the reunion I was celebrating, anyway, they graduated over 500 students yesterday, and they don't have any parking at all. There is literally no parking lot. It's in the middle of a residential neighborhood, and they actually have faculty permitted parking in the neighborhoods adjacent to the school. And the signage reads permit parking only from 7 to 10. And there's a whole arrangement between the town and the neighborhoods that faculty can park there. And then there's an adjacent sign that says tow-away zone 7 to 11. So it seems like somehow it works for them, but obviously it's a very different situation from us. But it's just interesting to me that it's a very large student body that just accepts the fact that they can't park at the school, and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Lois, you'll get a kick out of this. On Friday, I rode a bike bus with the Pierce Elementary School. We crossed Route 9.
Wow.
All
That
these little
sounds
ones.
scary.
Yeah, well, it works because they've got signals down there. But Brookline, I hear what you're saying about Brookline High. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you,
Thank
Lois.
you.
Appreciate it. Any other comments this evening for the pertaining to the public hearing about parking on Mark Tree, Robin Hill Road, or Greenview Road? You want to, other comments?
Yeah. Quick thought.
Yep. Just, make sure you're talking to the mic so everybody can hear you.
Yeah. Jonathan Parker, 290 Mark Tree Road. Just a quick follow-up to a couple of the comments that have been made. I think I forgot to mention that I also am in favor, if there could be during school days,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, that would be,
Yeah.
that would be a benefit, a value added to this whole thing.
Sure.
The other thing, I just wanted to make my position clear. Yes, I know that this could be some inconvenient to every person who lives on the street, but to me, the safety issue far outweighs
Sure.
whatever the inconvenience is going to be, which we should be able to figure out and deal with. But when after seeing some of the things that I saw where a kid almost, in a garbage truck, almost had a head-on collision with each
Right.
other, the tearing down the street and having to jump out of the way while I'm walking my dog, and then on and on, it's just, to me, there's just no comparison.
Sure. Okay.
All right, thank you again.
Thank you, John. Anyone else before we wrap up?
Do you want to close the hearing and then deliberate, or deliberate?
Why don't we deliberate first, just to make sure that way we're not trying to reopen if we have to. I'm not saying we should, but why don't we talk about it? So, Tina, what are your thoughts?
I'm reading the chief's recommendations. I appreciate him sending them along. I'm noticing number 2 and 3, which are, he sent 3 recommendations moving forward, and both of them involve engaging with the Holliston Public School Holliston Public Schools and the school committee, but I think he really focuses on the administration, policy changes, and additional parking spots. So my suggestion would be that we consider a motion, and I've got it prepared here if we're so inclined, for a temporary parking ban that starts on the first day of school and runs through the fall, runs up until the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. It allows for a couple different things. Number one, it allows for those conversations with the school committee and the school administration to get underway, and maybe we get some traction. And then we have more choices before we go and implement something permanent. I think that it honors all sides. Number two, I think it also allows us to understand from the residents' perspective if it's making a significant change for their benefit to address the concerns they have. And number three, it is temporary, and so I'm going somewhere with this. Oh, it's the school day comment. So you don't have to do the school days only, because I'm not 100% sure we need chief to confirm whether or not that's enforceable. So you can put up a sign, but you can't enforce a citation if you don't have appropriate signage. And I'm not sure naming school days gets you there. Maybe it does, but if we were to do a temporary ban on those specific dates through until Thanksgiving break, we don't have to name initially in a pilot process. We don't have to name school days only. It can be Monday through Friday, starting on August 28th, first day of school, going through August 25th.
November
when they break.
25th.
November 25th, thank you. That's my suggestion, because I particularly want to make sure we're engaging with the school's administration and committee on policy and additional parking spots. I think that really rounds out our decision-making.
What are your thoughts about the timing? So the chief had presented 9 to 3.
Yeah.
We've heard 7 to 3. We've heard 7 to 11. What do you think about?
Well, school starts at 8:10, right? It's the bell rings at 8:10, and so I don't see the 7 a.m. as being necessary. I would say 9 to 3 per the chief's recommendation.
Okay.
For
David?
a temporary.
Yeah,
parking ban.
you're saying a temporary ban, and then we would basically revisit like mid-November.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I'll trifurcate this because I think there's 3 different parts.
Trifurcate?
Yeah.
Whoa, we're
I may have
bifurcating
made
and
that up, but I
trifurcating?
think I trifurcated.
After 10 o'clock, no less.
I know, God help us. So I think the first question is temporary, yes or no? I think yes. Give us time to figure out what's going on. So that's question the 1. Question the 2, school days. If enforceable, I like school days because I think it gives some flexibility to families who are celebrating holidays, which tend to be the days where there's not school days. They may have guests over, people parking outside. It's nice to be able to park. That's it. Third part is the temporal nature during the school days. There, I actually want to lean in a little bit. I think whatever the least possible thing is, I have a hard time imagining if there's a ban in the middle of the day and you can get towed or ticketed, that a person who is driving to school would then drive away to avoid it, but then return, and that people who haven't parked would walk from the school to their house, because that means they're within walking distance anyway, to get their car, to come back to the school with it, just for the end of the day. So I think there is like a small pie slice that we could probably carve out, but I will defer to the rest of the board on that. I'm not as close to that issue. It just seems like, it's like saying, hey, if there's a parking ban these 2 hours, like, who's gonna really go, okay, quick, I gotta run home, grab my car, run back? I just can't imagine it, but I could be wrong. People are creative. I could see my son doing it.
So, are you saying like you would be in favor of like a 7 to 11?
I'm saying I'm amenable to a smaller pie slice, but if this is a temporary...
David, I'm asking you to have an opinion. Like, I
do.
understand amenability, but I want you to have an opinion.
Let me put it this way. If we're doing a temporary one, I'm okay with a broader thing, but I don't think it's necessary.
I think if we're going to do a pilot, I think we kind of look to try to solve the problem with the least restrictive option. So I would ask for, if we can do a pilot for a period of time, we do 7 to 11 on school days. And that way we can see, does it work? And then if we say it's not working, then we expand it. Because I think if we go too far, then we might be, doing too much, and we might be sort of putting ourselves in a position where there isn't a lot of flexibility. It works, hey, it's great, but it's so restrictive that it winds up it can be disruptive. So I would like to, I think a pilot needs to be the least restrictive possible. But at the same time, we'll say, if we say 7 to 11 on school days, and if they're coming back to us and people are, I know the fall isn't super disruptive, but I think it would be, we'd be able to say, it's still happening, then they're coming after lunch. okay, now we need to expand it. But if, and then we can fix it for the spring, and then if we could sort of pilot it, we can work with the schools, see if we can fix the problem on their side, and then at the same time, we can also try to change the behavior and see if we go. That's kind of where I'm leaning towards.
Tina's
7
point
or
on
9?
enforceability is important, though.
What's that? I think 7 to 11 on school days. That's kind of what I'm saying.
There's nobody in that parking lot until 8.
Well, if you do, well, I mean, we could do, what, you want to do 9 to 12? I mean, I don't know.
Sure, that covers lunch. You look at it, I'm not trying to be difficult.
I don't know.
I'm not trying to be
At this
difficult.
point, I'm just,
Because
I've
we
heard
have
7 to
one
11, and like now we're introducing a new thing here.
We're never making a bad decision as a board when we're following the recommendation of our department
Yeah,
heads. And
I
the
would
chief has
say,
made a
the
recommendation.
chief has made a recommendation of 9 to 3, and I think if we could say 9 to 12, it would be less disruptive. Someone's not likely to put their car at 8 o'clock knowing that the car is going to be towed at 9.
Right. That's my
And
opinion.
picket it.
But the enforceability on school days, I think, is.
I think
we do
9
need
to
find
12
out.
on school days.
We could put a
And we
contingent.
try that as a pilot for the fall. Does it fix the behavior? And work with the schools to try to find other means of parking. If it does fix the behavior and they have the means of parking, maybe we keep it, or we can see if there's other, or if it's not working, then like in beginning of November, we'd have a good indication that hey, it's still happening.
Okay.
Then we expand it.
Isolate the variable.
Frank, can we make a motion that has the option of Monday through Friday or on school days contingent upon enforceability?
When I asked the chief, he said
Yeah,
he could do school days.
Okay.
I think the question really becomes signage. I think is what kind of signage can we produce
Yeah,
that
we
would
don't
indicate that? Because
yeah.
we need to make sure if we're enforcing something, it has to be able to put it in a sign.
I'm thinking
Maybe
of,
if the language is, whatever the hours are when school is in session.
Yeah, but the tricky thing is that when you're just thinking about a sign, how much can you put on a sign?
Right.
That's really there's the rub. So I would say I would be open to 9 to 12. Maybe we say 9 to 12, and I would suggest on school days or Monday through Friday if that works. And we say we would do it from August 28th, this is first day of school, through November 25th. Does that work?
And that's the trial balloon.
That is the trial balloon.
Yep.
And then in the meantime, we're working with the schools to try to add additional parking. That was one of the suggestions of the chief and other options to do so. And that might be able to fix it.
would you like a motion? Or would you like, sorry, we still
Triggered
hearing.
You want one
Yes.
more comment? Yeah, please. We're still open for a public hearing, I mean, at this point. Yeah.
I don't,
Bill and Adriana.
Jonathan Parker, 290 Martree Road.
Yep.
So that all sounds good, but I just would like some clarification on the trial balloon part of it.
Yep.
Because since we already know that the fall, is not that heavily used for parking, I would just be careful about determining success prematurely and leaving the option open to say, all right, so it looks good in the fall, but then if it gets bad in the spring again, can we pick it up?
John, you certainly have my commitment
Yeah.
in terms of the other recommendations from the Holliston Police Chief, which are policy changes at the school and additional parking at the school. Those conversations will develop over the summer and the fall. And so I think we've got three aspects by which we're addressing this problem. So I would ask, I guess, for patience on the process, that we may find ourselves in a different situation in November. I hear your point. The fall's not your concern as much as the spring, but I think we ought to allow the process some time to play out, and the other two aspects of this show themselves, hopefully to be very, very helpful in the situation. But I do hear your point. I don't think we'll forget about this.
Okay.
We're not going to let this slide fallow.
Okay, good, yeah, no, I agreed. Yeah, I just want to make sure that if the spring explosion does happen.
Spring explosion.
No, we're not
Then-
we have pretty much zero tolerance
We
for
pick
this.
right up where.
We have
where
zero
are.
tolerance for this, but basically, I mean, talking to you and hearing that it's happening in the fall, I'm sure even on a small scale, if we can limit it even, then and find another solution in the meantime, and because, paving and creating more more parking isn't going to happen overnight, so we need to kind of give it a little bit of time and to push things forward. it would give us the ability to try to find those alternative things, but we have zero tolerance. We're not going to put up with this anymore. So that's what we're saying here, but we're trying to make sure that we can get to a good solution here as much as possible.
Okay.
We're trying to be the least disruptive as well,
Right.
in so doing.
Yeah, my intent would be this is, I'm using the wrong terms of like a sunset provision, like we would be revisiting it again at the trial balloon end, not letting it go forward.
Yeah, we're not going to let it. We're not going to let it.
Not making any conclusions.
Right.
And then
You might, and
moving
you
on.
might come back to us and say, like, everything seems great and it seems good, and maybe we stick with it, or if we're saying, like, you know what, they're still coming back in the afternoon. That's kind of what we're trying to see if that
Okay.
works.
Then we
want to fix it. We do want to fix it. We want to try to be as least disruptive as possible.
And we'll hopefully see you, if we see you again, it won't be until the middle of March, and.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about it in November, is basically
Yeah,
what we're going
right.
to say, is then, because then by then, we've already talked to the schools and they've already tried to find, we're pushing them to do policy changes. And at this point, like, we want them to take it up, and by making some kind of an effort, we're pushing them to make a change.
Yeah.
And that's part of what this exercise is doing.
And honestly, we'll be giving you updates probably through
And
the
I want
fall.
them. We want them.
Up
Yeah.
until.
We want
that
them, and we
date
want
in
to
November.
keep track of.
Yeah, the second it stops working.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we will, and that's why I didn't want to close the public hearing, because then we can just reopen it and go.
Right, good. Okay.
Thank you. Yes,
think
we are
that's it.
trying. We are trying.
Oh, I know.
Okay. Bill, do you want to make another comment?
Yeah, just one comment. The purpose of I'm not clear on what the purpose of the trial balloon is. Is it to have the school ask or tell the students not to park over here?
No, the purpose of the trial balloon is, in effect, to see, first of all, can a non-terribly restrictive initiative, can it actually fix it? And at the same time, push the schools to make changes. That's basically because the schools, at the end of the day, the schools need to make, we're asking the schools to make some changes in their parking policy or in their parking availability of some kind, and this is a part of that initiative to do that.
Okay. Okay.
That's the effort, yeah.
But kids will be ticketed if they park. I mean, that's
Correct.
how this is not gonna work, right? I mean,
Right.
you're gonna put signs up, the police are gonna ticket cars
Yep.
that are gonna park here, right? And then at the end of the trial balloon, are we gonna be able to say, well, it was because the kid had ticketed, or because the principal said, don't park on Mark Tree Road?
And honestly, like, if it just takes the principal saying don't park on Mark Tree Road, great. But
They already tried that. That is definitely.
I know, and that's kind of, there's the rub. So we want to try to find another alternative to try to, we want to fix the problem, and we want to do it in the least restrictive way possible, because we understand how disruptive this can be for everybody.
But I just don't know how we're gonna determine at the end of that trial balloon whether it was the signs or the policy that fixed the problem. And then if you take the signs down and it wasn't the policy, then we're gonna put the signs back up. and we're gonna keep
Well,
it
basically,
down.
what would happen here is if the policy changes are effective, that's it. But what would happen is if we took the signs down, and then the policy changes were not effective, then the ban would become permanent. Is what I'm hearing from the board.
And then the signs go back up.
And the signs go back up, and then it's not a temporary balloon anymore, it's a permanent balloon. Is that, I think that's my feeling about this and how we structure this.
Bill, we've had, if I may, we've had successful implementation like this in the past. On Front Street down by Blair Square, we piloted a one-way. It was a temporary sign that said one-way. We gave it 6 months. We heard from residents. We observed the patterns and so on. We then went and made it permanent. So I would just say that the pilot is to assess what the final implementation will be as well. So not a knee-jerk reaction, but more of a staged understanding, observing, and then final implementation. So I hear your point, but we've had success in the past with pilot programs. The crosswalk in front of the town hall is another example. So feel confident that this is the best way to get to a final solution that satisfies all sides.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill. Adriano, do you want to make any other follow-up, or are you okay?
No, so I'm just questioning a lot of time ended the party we had in June. I know right now, or at least a week ago, there were empty spots at the high school and kids are parking on Mark Tree Road.
Yep.
I know it is, it's incredible how fast they get going on Market Street Road.
Mm-hmm.
A little terrifying as well, but anyways, that's the point. Well, I guess my question is, what would stop a student from just leaving the high school at noon to go have lunch and then coming back to park on Market Street Road to kind of avoid that exit traffic in the school? That's what I would do.
Like if that is what is happening, then that is a data point that we need to extend the trial balloon it's not long enough. I'm trying to
Balancing.
I'm trying to balance between being the least restrictive possible with also hearing what you're saying, because if that is what happens and kids are coming back at 1:00, then we have to extend the ban, and it has to be we clearly the policy changes and the length of time is insufficient.
And the education didn't.
And then the education isn't happening. So basically, we're yeah.
Fair point. Fair point.
Yes.
Yep. And they said, no, don't mark here. It's
Yep.
right.
Yep. And so we're looking. I hear you. And if that's the data point, then we're talking about a permanent ban, and we're talking about lengthening it.
All right.
Thank you. Okay. So are you both comfortable 9 to 12 on school days?
I'm comfortable with that.
Dan, you good with that?
Yep.
So I'd like a motion 9 to 12 on school days on Mark Tree Road, Robin Hill Road, and Greenview Drive. And we will revisit this at the beginning of November, making sure that, so we won't close the public hearing, and we will revisit and examine.
So motioned.
Moved.
You made the motion, you just got to second it.
Yeah, you could just second it.
Well, we just want to add the contingent
Yes,
upon
thank you.
enforceable language.
Okay, yeah, so we'll
I'll second that.
amend the motion to include is on school days enforceable, or is it Monday through Friday? I would prefer on school days if we can do that.
Okay, just to summarize, then we'll make it a clean motion.
Sounds good.
Move to institute a temporary parking ban on Mark Tree Road, Robin Hill Road, Greenview Road from 9 to 12, August 28th, start of school, through till November 25th, start of Thanksgiving vacation, Monday through Friday, or on school days contingent upon language that's enforceable.
Okay.
Seconded.
All right, all those in favor?
Yes.
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 All right, and we will be revisiting this, and we expect, we will also be working with the schools to find solutions. Moving right along.
Then may I suggest that we move on to the consent agenda, the board business, coming back to public comment. We have some folks in the room who are here for number 6G.
But I think we had talked about that we were going to table that for now. That was what my understanding was, and that was the email that was sent out.
So there was an oversight on my part that we actually did have 2 applicants, and so in those cases, as in the past, we would invite those applicants in for 1 seat so that the board could speak with them and then make its appointment.
But the thing is that we would basically, because next meeting, we were going to make the appointments for all seats for the following year, that we would make the appointments of both individuals at that time, because we're going to have another open seat.
Yes, so
But
that's...
I understand that we did tell the person who's sitting in the room that we were going to do that, right?
Yes. And so...
Because I don't want, I would feel terrible if you sat here the whole time and you
3.5
did not
hours.
have that. I thought you were here for public comments, that's why.
Oh, may I
Well,
respond?
Well, when we get to public comment, so.
We're going to
hold on.
remove G from the
We're gonna, all right,
board
hold
business.
on, we'll remove G.
1 moment.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's
might as
okay.
well
Let's get it over with, guys. Come on.
It's a long night.
It's a long night, let's just get it over. Otherwise, we'll
Okay,
just-
Barb, just come on up here, let's clarify this. I mean, at this point, we're in for a penny, in for a
So
penny.
we're moving on for
So we're
6G.
gonna talk about 6G with Barb. So we're like, so I was advised by the town manager that you had brought to our attention correctly that we had 2 people who applied for the same position, and we should be evaluating 2 people for a position and not simply making giving you the seat. My solution that I was offering was to say, well, the reality here is that in next week, our next meeting, we do our appointments annually. So for all of our, for everything, for all so because everything is, you know, you get a 1-year appointment, you get a letter that just says, I want to re-up my appointment at the end of the year, so that way, you know, you have a sort of a way out for these things, especially for things that are appointed by the select board. We have like 100 people that we put into these positions for all these different boards and things like that on an annual basis. Now, we know that the chair of the PAC is leaving. And my understanding is he's leaving at the end of, like, in the next few weeks. Has he resigned officially? Or?
No, he's not, and
Okay.
he's actually the Council on Aging's appointment.
Okay, well, we can certainly nominate that other person for that position. Now, has he re-upped has he sent in the letter saying he's re-upped?
Not that, no, he is not.
Okay, so then as far as I'm concerned, like as of July 1st, he does not, because he has not re-upped his appointment. So there's 2 seats that would be available.
Mhm.
So with 2 people, my suggestion is 2 people who are interested, we put them both on the slate, and we certainly would put one, and then if the council on aging would make that recommendation to make that particular thing. I thought that was communicated to you going into this, and was that communicated to you?
Barbara Fritz, 83 Rolling Meadow Drive.
Yes.
Yeah, it was not totally clear that what had been decided. I think, and you know, to be fair to everybody at the table, I sent the email to Frank maybe at 4 o'clock or something like that. Like, it was very last minute, and I tried to email you all. So, and then I just sort of understood that you were going to take into consideration and weren't quite, and it wasn't clear to me what had been decided. So I came because I had also been given the opportunity to make a statement if it was that we were going to do that. And I was also unsure based on, you know, it was actually me who gave the application to this individual because they had expressed interest in town service. And I said, well, I've applied for this. I think this is also something you could do. And I understood there to be multiple seats. So I don't even think that he knew or I knew that we were doing the same seat, just there's multiple seats. And we didn't know exactly how to distinguish where to send that application. So it's however you all want to proceed. I totally appreciate that maybe it needs to happen next week.
So,
which is unfortunate because I was.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we appoint her to the seat, and then the other person we recommend to the Council on Aging to appoint them to the seat.
That works.
But just to make sure, that's a recommendation.
Yes.
They don't have to take it.
That is true, but at the same time,
I'm cool with that. I just
at the same time, like to be perfectly honest, we have had trouble seating this committee, and the idea that there's people who are interested is wonderful, and I'm very excited that we could be able to fill the seats. So my recommendation, if you two are amenable to do that, is that we put Barb in the seat tonight, and it would be, I guess, when would it be applicable? Because we'd have to do it again anyway.
We could do it. Well, we could just make it. It doesn't really matter. I'm not exactly sure when they're meeting next, to be honest.
Why don't we say as of July 1st, and then we just take her off we just say you're on there as of July 1st, and then you're on for the full year, and then rather than having a second vote about that.
I'm going to suggest, with all respect to Barb and the time she's put in, that we not do that we wait for Amit he was instructed at 6:20 this evening that most likely we were not planning on discussing this tonight. So I just think that in terms of process, we spent such a night talking about fair appointment processes that is actually contrary to what we had, expressed earlier, that, we're looking for fair, transparent processes. And
I didn't realize that was sent out.
I didn't either, and I agree with you.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So
I agree. We can table it till next meeting. And Barbara, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Can I just read my statement?
I was going to say,
please, let's do statement.
Let's just at least get that.
Yes,
right.
we'd love to hear
I might
from
come
you.
on Zoom next time.
Fair enough.
I think that's fair.
I think that is totally okay.
Reasonable.
That is totally
Okay.
reasonable.
Okay.
You've been
yay.
so patient.
My
Thank you.
mother-in-law's been on all night long.
Oh,
My
I'm
mother-in-law
sorry.
for this.
I'm so sorry.
Okay. Thank you to the town manager and to the select board for giving me an opportunity to serve in this role. I have been a part of Diverse Holliston since 2018, and I also work in Holliston in private practice as a licensed clinical psychologist, specializing in the LGBTQ+ community and postpartum perinatal mental health communities. I apply a multicultural framework in my clinical work and have had the privilege of connecting deeply with all kinds of people. Through my clinical work, as well as my work with Diverse Holliston, I have had firsthand accounts of individuals who have experienced prejudice in this community. My training as a psychologist, as well as decades of personal self-taught work on systems of power and oppression, combined with having worked and lived and been an advocate for DEI in Holliston for 10 years, give me a unique lens into the gaps that currently exist in our town's policies and practices. In terms of representation I bring to this role, I am a member of the LGBTQ+ community and a part of an interfaith Unitarian Universalist and Jewish family with 2 kids in Holliston Public Schools, aged 13 and 10. I'm excited to be a part of this very important committee and help Holliston practically and operationally realize its ideological goals of creating a safe, supportive, inclusive, welcoming, and equitable town. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb.
Thank you,
And,
Barb.
thank you so much for putting your name forward. Really appreciate you
Yeah.
stepping up to participate. and
I'm
volunteer.
excited. Thank you.
We're excited to have you. Thank you. Okay. Warrants.
3, May 18th, 2026, $2,321,767.89. May 26th, 2026, $1,979,786.31. June 1st, 2026, $2,592,801.16.
All right. Public comments. Does anyone have any public comments tonight? Andreas?
I'm here.
You have been enormously patient. I appreciate it. You're all well dressed too, better dressed than we are.
I try.
You succeed.
Andres Vargas, 12 Curve Street. How's everybody doing tonight?
We are tired. We've been here for a while.
Me too.
I know.
Not as
I know.
long as you guys.
I know. What can we do for you tonight?
Well, because I'm here, we might as well talk about, now that the town election has passed.
Yes.
The idea of creating some policies for snow removal in commercial spaces.
Okay.
Once again, how do commercial landlords and commercial people handle the snow throughout the whole town, and how we can put some teeth into actually, and I'm sorry, I want to open up here because we're spending like 2 hours talking about towing, and has the town of Holliston actually ever towed a car? Has anybody ever seen that happen?
I'm sure.
So let's go back to the idea of putting some teeth into this.
Okay.
Now, this doesn't have to happen tonight at all.
Yep.
But just wanted to bring it back up to the top of the inbox
Yep.
so that we can start thinking about it.
Yeah.
At this time, the only thing I can think of is my pillow. But like I said, since I'm here, I might as well bring it up.
Okay.
Now, Ben, you mentioned that the town has interest in making some policy changes in the snow.
Yes.
Anything you might want to comment right now, or do you?
We had talked about possibly a couple different things. Like one thing that could come up was the idea of a bylaw that says that private landowners, I'm probably going to butcher the language here, should be responsible for making sure that their roads, private roads, are plowed for residents, things like that. So that was something that we had talked about potentially doing, and you bringing up something, looking at thinking about, is there maybe a little bit of a robust policy about snow plowing and making sure that people are held responsible for plowing roads, sidewalks, and thinking about, and I know you had brought forward that maybe we're trying to do too much. We should try to take smaller bites of the apple. But I think maybe we look at we look at over the next couple of months in the summer when it's nice and hot and no one's thinking about snow, we can think about snow and see if what makes the most sense and to try to solve some problems here.
I mean, for this to go into effect before this
that would
next
be the goal.
snow season,
It would be for an October,
hard, right? I mean,
town
even
meeting.
if it gets approved in the October town meeting, I think there's other processes that you mentioned in the state legislature, et cetera, that might not even be in place for this winter.
Correct.
So I guess the sooner we hit this, the better.
Right.
Yeah, my idea of keeping it in smaller chunks is because one thing might actually leave a bad taste in people's mouth on some things.
Absolutely.
And if we bundle it all together into one package,
we might lose everything.
We might lose everything.
Absolutely.
Whereas
And
if we just come to people and say, hey, this will only affect commercial landlords and people who have this, they're like, okay, I'll vote for it. This will affect people on private roads. Whoa, stop it there and bring that one down. So bring it into smaller chunks seems like a more reasonable idea. So,
And I think, I'm glad you brought this back up, and what we can do is let's endeavor to put this on an agenda soon to start to discuss like a path forward.
I like it.
And we can start to talk about like a strategy, and it may be like, we do a piecemeal, we do a couple, we sort of figure out what the right approach is. Some might be legislative, some might not, but finding out, talking about, because it's not an agenda item, so we're just like having a conversation as we do.
Just like as I'm here.
Exactly, and
Just
so,
because.
let's put it on an agenda item, in the next couple months. So let's pick the hottest day, so we can be ironically talking about snow. And that way we can ensure that we have a plan to go forward, and we can, we'll let you, I'll make sure that when we do put that on the agenda, probably I would say like maybe early July, that we can say, hey, let's talk, let's see what your idea, I know you sent some ideas, and we can review those and see if that's, as a first step, to see what we think about it and how we want to go forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andres. Thank you for
Everybody
your
have a good
patience.
night.
Yeah.
Good night.
Have a wonderful evening. Go.
Sleeping is
Give
good.
your pillow a nice big hug.
Oh, I wish. Go home, do a laundry, the dishes.
Oh
it never
boy.
ends, guys.
Oh boy. Any other public comments tonight on the Zoom? Seeing none, we're going to move on to comments from the town manager.
I can give my manager, I can email this out if you'd rather, just give him the hour. I've got a few things. So just,
Well, anything you think is pressing that you need to make sure, like events coming up?
the big thing I'd mention is that Habitat for Humanity is pleased to announce that they are accepting applications for home ownership on a property, a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, single-family ranch-style home located at 550 Concord Street. The long and short of it is I'd encourage everyone to, if interested, reach out to Family and Youth Services if you're interested in applying through the lottery.
Let me make a, this is sort of like a good opportunity for me to just sort of say, those are great kinds of things, as I think we have an opportunity, and I think we should find ways to make those more public than just here.
Mhm.
Like, are there ways to make press releases, Facebook posts, whatever, and finding ways to sort of take some of those things that I think are, really meaningful and starting to get a little bit more of a rhythm of like, hey, this is, it doesn't have to be, 5 things a week, but, let's start to think about ways that we can improve our communications to the community, and sort of like something like that. We're limiting our audience, and I'd love to get that out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
They sent us along a flyer this afternoon that we're
Yeah.
planning to post to Facebook.
Yeah, I already sent it, or Chris is gonna post it.
Yeah,
Perfect.
so it'll be up and running.
So things like that, I think we should try to find ways to get those published,
Mhm.
and get those out there, and we certainly can bring them up in meetings as well.
Absolutely.
Anything else that you think is?
Nope, we're hiring for a bunch of positions, so
Okay.
please check out our HR page for that. And then also, while you're on the HR page, I'd encourage you to check out the revamped Senior and Veteran Tax Work-Off Program that we're launching July 1st.
Okay.
Again, all that's on the HR page, and you can also contact the Council on Aging as well if you're interested.
Great. Okay. Board business. We have removed G from board business, but otherwise everything else is there. So.
Then would you like it presented as a consent agenda?
Please.
Okay, I move to approve the consent agenda 6A through 6F as presented on the agenda tonight.
I second that motion.
All right. All those in favor?
Yes.
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 All right, that passes. Thank you very much. Other business. Anybody have any other business?
2 things real quick. I did not read this under public comment, and I should have, and we're not quite done yet. We have an.
I know, we're about to do
reorg.
that. We're
Okay,
about to
good.
do that.
This is from Stacy Raffy, 20 Arthur Street, Holliston, Mass. She asked us to be read into the public record. The class parents of the class of 2026, class of 2027 would like to give a huge shout out to that man in the corner, Chief Cassidy. He consistently volunteers his time to help chaperone our after graduation celebrations year after year. Last night was no exception. We are super grateful that he's willing to stay out with us until 2 a.m. Thanks, Chief, for always supporting our kids. We're also incredibly grateful for Tim Holmes and his bus drivers, Tanya, Tony, Matt, and Suzanne, who drove both to and from Marlborough the other night, only to return around 4 hours later and start the bus run for the following day. We shared this with the school department too, and this was echoed by Melissa Caspern, which is the Friends of the Holliston Class of 2026. So many thank yous to Chief Cassidy and the Holmes crew for their service to our youth. And then my other public comment is, Damon, to you as the representative of the select board with the school committee on the joint appointment process.
Oh, did I accept that? Great.
Yes, you did.
You're going to be the chair.
And
So
also,
be the chair. You're going to be the chair in about 5 minutes.
I really ask that you work to ensure that all votes are treated as equally through the final appointment process, because it's a joint appointment process, and I would love the idea of approval voting for that reason. I also think that there's a tremendous value in having the newest member sit on the next appointment process, but you will do your work well. I just wanted to share those comments with me, and thank you, Frank, for the weekly update that you've been providing the board. I liked the first draft. I didn't put it in writing, but you did ask for feedback, and I just want to say I think it's great, and I hope it continues. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, do you have any other business?
Very briefly, just as we are going to be swapping the baton, I actually just want to say thank you, Ben, especially over the last couple of weeks and months when things have been very bumpy. You have kind of set a standard, one that I hadn't fully expected to see when I first came onto the select board, that I think makes you kind of a person to really look up to when it comes to civic engagement. And I mean that genuinely. I know you're not leaving, but the chair position is incredibly thankless. I'm not even sure how I'm going to do all the work. But you have incredibly big shoes for me to fill. I'm not even going to try to, so I'll probably just get my own set of shoes.
Be yourself.
I'll do my best. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not, but that's the only way I can be.
It's the only thing you can do.
But it's a real thank you. You know, the last couple of days of bumps aside, your character's unimpeachable, and it shines through in everything you do. So
I'm
thank
implying
you.
my character should be impeachable the past couple of days.
Yes.
Oh.
You got it. But,
wow, 10:45, the
I
truth
know,
comes
I know.
out.
But I'll probably have to lean on both you and Tina quite a bit in the coming weeks and months, and I feel very lucky that there are such giants on whose shoulders I can stand. So thank you.
I move to appoint Damon Dinnick as chair of the Holliston Select Board.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Well, actually, I get to say
You
that.
get
All
to
those in
say-
favor?
Yes.
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 I move
Okay.
to appoint Ben Sparrow as clerk of the Holliston Select Board.
Seconded.
All right. All those in favor?
Yes.
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 I move to appoint Tina Hine as the vice chair of the select board.
Seconded.
All right. All those in favor?
Yes.
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 All right. We have been reorganized, so you get to run the show.
Great.
The next time.
Expect 1 or 2 issue agendas and really short meetings. No, I'm just kidding.
Whatever works.
We'll work. We'll see how it goes.
You want
see
to
how it
close this
goes.
one?
Yeah.
I actually would like to defer to you to end this one.
Oh,
I'll make
fair
a motion to adjourn.
enough. So moved. Oh, seconded, sorry, seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 10:47 p.m. Thanks for your patience this evening, and I hope you will have a wonderful night. We will see you again on June 22nd. Have a good night.
Right.